Greetings and salutations, all of you. Welcome, welcome. I am Ra Zim, and this is Runes and Reptiles, Dungeons and Dragons, the first episode of Season 2.
Oh yes, recap. Let's fucking do it. So, last session we ended off as the party head. The party, still recovering from the duress of their encounter with the heart of the world, managed to limp back to the port city of Suzail on the Sea of Stars aboard their newly gained vessel, the ASS Obliterator.
Nope, it's the pending.
Correct. It is now named the Pending. Not the, but Pending.
I thought it was the pending.
I want it to be the
actually,
pen.
no,
yeah, it was actually
Yeah.
named the Pending due to a bureaucratic mix-up. With the commencement of much-needed repairs, the crew found themselves with something they hadn't experienced in a while: leisure time. Eric's saw to the repairs, even making a few modifications of his own. Raku learned to employ black powder artifice, singing his musket to sleep occasionally. Rock spent some time getting to touch with his refined side, while still cracking some skulls in the arena on the weekends. Infel sharpened his tongue and voice, learning the basics of bardcraft to better understand the kobold he once knew. Cobalt, glimmer of unrestrained inspiration in his eyes, set upon a project sequestered within his private enchantry. We continue the tale, plans of settlement and empire building on the party's mind, as well as the restoration of the vessel to airworthiness, somewhere on the southern coast of Faerun. We continue as the ship finally completes its repairs, and you all gather in the mansion for a sort of a last meal on shore before the ship finally departs. The bill, after your pay was deducted from it, Eric's, actually comes out to 4,000 gold pieces for the repairs of the vessel. Go ahead and retract that from whichever account that you wish it to be taken from.
We'll take it from Shrek.
All right. The airship, correction, the Pending, now has two long ships mounted on it on sort of gimbaling moorings that basically allow them to swing out to the side and deploy into the seas below. They're basically just long rowboats, allowing for things like having people go to shore without an actual dock. Rock's common is actually fairly good now. Like, none of you guys have... You don't hear him speak it very much, but you can hear when he starts to practice it. And he can actually hold a conversation in common now, from what you can hear. Also, as a side effect, it seems that he now knows which fork a salad fork is. As you can see that in the final meal, the salad course is correctly eaten by the salad fork.
Impressive.
Indeed. Cobalt, you're not there at the moment, but we'll get you to you in a sec.
During the salad course, I'm too busy inventing croutons.
All right. How are you doing so?
I'm just sprinkling pieces of bread in my salad.
It adds a weird, like, kind of a salty crunch. You got to be onto something here. Infel, your voice is rather hoarse, as the previous day you did some voice intensity training with Zell. It involved little more than locking yourself in your room and just screaming for a long time. But you can yell much, much louder now.
I feel like NFL and Rock have swapped training.
Lost a coin flip.
It's true, yeah. Raku, like the proper gentleman, you have seen to it that your musket was seated before you, of course.
Yep, pulling out the chair and pushing it in.
Of course. As
Give
you
me
all
it.
just kind of watch as already seated at the table.
I give it a kiss on the muzzle brake.
Some of the kobolds are, they do give you a quick look, but return to their meals somewhat hungry from preparing the ship to return to sea.
I look at them and go, "Hey, would you like it if I stared at you?"
Eric's would like to do a little cursory investigation and check Raku's mental well-being.
Alright, what do you want me to roll?
Well, it's not really something that you can control. You could try to go ahead and roll deception against that if you want, Raku.
Okay.
If you're trying to hide anything, which I don't believe you
I
are.
think I'm naturally doing that. I have to try to be honest.
That's true. Go ahead and roll deception.
Okay, I win.
You can't explain why, but he seems all right.
Okay.
The musket thing seems kind of weird, but you feel that there might be a reason behind it.
I'm gonna put an armor on the musket and go, "Shh, it's okay, it's okay."
Rock just shrugs, seeming
It's
it's just completely normal.
It's time for Din Din.
Going to
do you
lump
feed the
food
musket
into the barrel.
No, I violently pack powder into the barrel.
There you go.
I'm gonna
And
look
by
at-
the
I'm-
time,
I'm gonna look over kind of cheeky and just be like, "She likes it rough." As I'm just jamming the rod down the barrel. You brought
bunch
this
of
upon
voyeurs
yourself,
around this table.
Rock gives you a wink.
Man, it's such a good thing Cobalt's not back yet.
Speaking of which,
Infel.
Are you
clears
guys really
across
going
the
to make-
table.
Are you guys really going to make me have to switch to a mature rating on this?
What do you mean,
hey,
you guys?
this isn't, this isn't actual dirty things.
Not
It's just
bad.
it's a musket. Why? Yeah, what's going on? You got a pretty dirty mind, Zim. Anyways, as the main course of what looks to be turkey with mashed potatoes and gravy arrives, you come to the realization that, well, Kobold's not coming to dinner again. As a reminder, you all have not seen him for the past month. Within the first few days, after gathering a hearty amount of materials and basically cleaning out the stockpiles of the enchanters and miscellaneous materials from exotic vendors, he's locked himself in his enchanting room. Every few hours, Gestalt brings a tray full of food to the door. He knocks on it, then with a small popping noise, the tray disappears within. About maybe 2 minutes later, the tray reappears, completely empty. This schedule repeats even during midnight hours. Until during the main course, you feel the house quake. The dinnerware on the table rattling slightly. Some of the more full glasses spilling their contents very slightly.
Hey, calm down, you're gonna scare Charla.
Oh, yes! This is more I could have ever dreamed about.
You won't like her when she's scared.
Could you say she has a hair trigger?
No, it's. I assume the trigger's
Oh.
probably like pretty heavy.
Does have a set trigger, so it's got 2 modes, like normal and a hair trigger. I was making a goddamn joke. Anyways, this rumbling reaches a crescendo when there's all the candles seem to extinguish all at once. A cold wind laced with this scent of ozone drifts throughout the house. From upstairs near Kobold's room, you hear heavy footsteps. Very heavy footsteps. There's maybe 3 steps, then a rapid scraping noise before something slams up against the wall.
At this point, I'm going to be dashing out of the dining hall and going to investigate who is destroying my mansion.
Alright. Anyone else follow?
No, Rockrock's just steadily eating,
I guess I have to out to investigate.
paying it
Alright.
no mind.
Yeah, I'm still just eating.
Okay, so it's me and Eric's.
There's... As soon as you reach the top of the flight of stairs, you hear 2 voices within the enchanting room. The sheet of paper telling you to not disturb the room. Still in its place, nailed to the door. There's the 2 voices, one of which is very clearly kobold. There's... could you give me an insight check, Eric's?
Absolutely.
As well as history.
God, my rolls are terrible today.
Should
You
I?
don't recognize the second voice, but from what you can tell, it sounds kind of angry, while Kobold's voice seems somewhat excited, actually, but kind of uneasy.
And exhausted. Don't forget exhausted.
Yes. It sounds like he's exerting a good bit of effort just to speak at this point. You don't hear exactly what they're saying within, but as you get a few steps closer, there's another shuffling noise as you hear Cobalt yelp. Not particularly in pain, more of surprise. There's another shuffling noise, the sound of something heavy and metal scraping against wood. Almost like it's carving into it. There's a faint mist that's currently sort of drifting out from underneath the door. It's somewhat white and blue, and smells of cordite, rock dust, and sweat. It smells rotten, stale. Alright, what do you guys do?
Do I see Cobalt or...
No, the door is still shut.
And just this dust is coming out from around it?
More of a mist.
Mist. I'm gonna go pound on the door, ready to attack.
Could you give me a dexterity saving throw, please?
I return.
I'm kidding. Oh
Alright.
my god!
Oh goodness, yes.
Oh, jeez.
Can I help you?
Not at this point, no.
I don't think you can help.
Let me tell me what just happened. I can interject myself between him and whatever's happening.
Could you give me a dexterity saving throw then?
I can.
I'm gonna block you from this thing that needs to be dodged. I'm gonna dodge it.
I mean, I have a shield.
Infel.
Yes.
There's a slight shift in the wind. A creak of floorboards behind the door. With almost instinctual action. You reach up with your foot and kick Eric's forward. Out of the way of the door as it absolutely swings forward with full force. That mist just cascading throughout the room now. As
You're welcome, I guess.
with the grinding of stone and the clank of what sounds to be metal against wood, something starts to emerge from the mist-filled room. At first, what you see is Kobold being held aloft by his neck. It doesn't seem to be clamping around it, but just holding him up by it. His hands sort of struggling at the stone and metal claws. As a construct emerges with vague reptilian features. In a voice you all recognize, it almost moans out. I said, "What did you do to me?" This is clearly the voice of Ayastal, now somewhat seemingly trapped inside a stone and metal shell.
Rock perks straight up.
Oh, this changes things.
Rock isn't there!
Rockrock is downstairs and heard a lot of that. He also has fantastic passive perception.
Yeah.
Fine.
Infel will look in shock and look to Kobold. What? Is this someone?
Cobalt,
tail's
you
gonna-
at
Oh,
Cobalt
sorry.
at this point you can. It's hard to respond because you can barely croak out a few words at a time.
Okay, so his tail's gonna wag a little bit as if he's still tired, and he's gonna smile and say, "Done."
Done. What? What? Excuse me.
Eric will be staring
Ma'am?
dumbfounded.
Let him go.
The head of this construct swings around. You see that the reptilian features are not really lizard folkish, but more dragonborn. The tail is a little bit shorter, it's more humanoid, but the face, the sort of the sharp teeth, they're all there. As it looks towards you, very little emotion in its eyes, which are strangely organic.
Cobalt?
What is this place? What have you done? You see her eyes sort of shift between you.
Yes,
Cobalt,
all your
what-
questions can be answered, but can I have that child?
Until he explains what's going on, he's not leaving my grasp.
Well, he can't
As
talk
you-
too well with your hand around his throat.
Yeah, Cobalt's gonna choke out. Hard to.
She releases the grasp somewhat as a good bit of blood now returns to your head. You're mostly just hanging up by your arms now, which are starting to get tired.
He's gonna say, "Grabbed your soul before you left. We left, and put you in this."
She takes another moment. As before, as the process was completed, there was a brief moment in which she was confused. She didn't know what was going on. She briefly examined her form, but didn't seem to completely take it in. As you slowly approached her, she looked. Her head sort of snapped to you, and with a blinding speed, her hand instantly wrapped around your neck. You tried to choke out to respond to her question, but you weren't really able to. And thus we are in this situation.
Raku wants to do something.
What is that?
Is that something to stop eating? That's what you're currently doing.
No, he's gonna take a bite of his potatoes.
It's really nice potatoes. It's got some, definitely some garlic and butter in it. And the gravy itself seems to have been made from whatever the turkey was cooked in.
Nice.
Really good. Fantastic stuff. Rock?
Or
I
continue.
was like, Rock would have gotten up from the table and went around to see this now.
You see, with the distinct voice of Ayastal, a construct, and I'll post a picture in the Discord, which sort of explains the style and the sort of look of her a little bit better. She's going to have a much more reptilian face, as well as a tail. She has talons on her feet, as well as decent-sized claws on her hands. It is in... which folder did I put it in? Sorry about the wait here. Gotta sort through my photos.
Dova
There it
has
is.
lost his notes again.
So
It's
basically,
like
it's like really detailed in the form, but aside from the Dragonborn like features, there's very little detail of.
a lot of very smooth facets.
I'm gonna look at her and just go. Go ahead.
Sorry. Okay.
No, go ahead.
Well, as you approach, she sort of looks at you. She looks at the rest of you. And she says, "Wait. You lived. I didn't know that you would have made it out."
Were you dead?
She sort of looks past you for a while. She says, "I don't know. What I remember is... I remember... a flash of light. I might have been dead. I don't know." As she thinks this over, she slowly starts to lower Cobalt to the ground. And Cobalt, as you all can see, is caked with grime, smells awful, and now there's a sort of a chafe mark around his throat where the fist had been grasping him.
When he
As-
reaches the floor, oh sorry.
Go ahead.
When he reaches the floor, he's just kind of gonna fall over and fall asleep.
It is precisely what would happen when someone is awake for roughly 3 days, Cobalt. Of your...
Age and stature.
She kind of looks at the hand that was clasped around Cobalt's throat. She looks at you and she says, "If it's true that you've saved my life, then I suppose I owe you."
Okay.
But as she almost starts to lose the sort of clarity she was speaking from, she kind of grasps at her head and starts to wobble. There's a grinding of stone as her joints slowly move. And she
We'll just sort of look around and just ask, "What have you guys been doing?" Wait, you actually killed the heart of the world. Never mind, you've probably been doing everything.
Pretty much. We're kind of, awesome.
Kobold's gonna snore softly in agreement.
Rockrock's is still slowly approaching her.
Should I get used to this?
Uh,
Or is this weird for you too?
no, this actually is kind of normal. I still don't like you, though.
Wow.
Yeah, sorry for kicking you in the
Rude.
face.
Oh, that is
Oh yeah, that is about leg level. I guess he is about leg level. I guess.
I'm gonna get one of the servants to carefully move Cobalt into the infirmary.
Alright.
One of
Raku's
As-
finally gonna show up.
One of the lizard men walks past Raku, quite fast actually, as he passes you towards the scene, slowly cradling up Cobalt and bringing him to the infirmary. Raku, you're gonna say something?
Yeah, Raku finally shows up.
All right. You are greeted with a very strange scene. The door is currently off one of its hinges and wide open, as a foul-felling fog just sort of rolls through the hallway. Ayastal, in her construct form, is slowly starting to walk in the opposite direction down the hallway where your guys' rooms are. Sorry.
Yeah.
She's kind of grabbing her head with one hand and steadying herself against the wall with the other.
Infel will just look confused. Should we do something? Is
Right.
that fine?
Her
Sorry?
said Rockrock's following her.
As soon as I enter the room, it is assaulted with those senses. I'm gonna put my hand over the barrel of Charla and say, "Don't worry, dear, I've got you."
Put that thing away. Put that.
Damn it, I was drinking.
Hey, I am free to have my gun out whenever I want.
Oh,
Eric's is gonna go ahead and go up to Ayastal's new body. So, I guess you're alive now. Again.
She doesn't respond, actually. You don't know what's going on with her. She kind of continues slowly walking down the hallway, sort of stumbling along, heavy metal feet creaking the floorboards very loudly beneath her.
That sounds like the shittiest Hallmark card ever. Well, I guess you're alive now.
Well, I wasn't trying to make a Hallmark card.
Welcome to live.
Let's follow after her. It's a her, right?
I think it's technically an it now. But yes, she was a she when she was alive. Before.
Who was
She
she?
knows.
Infel doesn't.
I know.
She was kind of an enemy, we have a complicated history, okay? That's the best way to put it.
You didn't get drunk together, did you? That's
No.
how a lot of complicated histories start.
Dova.
Yeah?
Do you want to explain to the chat why Raku has this relationship with his gun?
So Raku very eager to use this weapon. Seeked out some training in the city. Now, muskets are a very, very finicky technology in this setting, and especially in this time frame. If one thing goes wrong in it, then it won't function, or it'll explode in the wielder's face. Thus, its wielders tend to be superstitious. Unfortunately, in some people's eyes, Raku, or the only person experienced with musketry in this city, was one of those very suspicious types. And intermingled within the normal maintenance routines, such as cleaning it out, making sure that the barrel is oiled, not roughhousing it, not throwing it in the water, making sure it keeps dry, stuff like that. A lot of these superstitions got mixed in and are really hard to separate due to how intricate they are. Such as, it must be put to bed as though it were a lover. Although it is... I'll skip that part. To treat it as a proper lady, so that in your time of need it will serve well and not betray you. As thus, Raku is doing a very good job at it. As far as he can tell, his musket is very much still in love with him. And in your small amount of test firings, it has performed admirably.
So Raku was trained.
Sorry?
So Raku was trained by a redneck.
By a what?
A redneck.
Oh. Well, hey now.
Hey, those are my people you're talking about IRL.
Yeah.
And this is easy for me to roleplay because this is me in real life.
Sadly, he's not joking.
I nod in understandment.
Yeah, let's hopefully not get you banned on Twitch.
What? There's nothing explicit with this.
No, okay, I guess that was quiet enough.
So, continuing on. I believe Eric's and Infel were having a conversation regarding Aistal's relationship to them.
Yes.
I said
Because
about all
he
I've
is-
got to say.
And you denied that this started over drinks.
That's correct. It actually started over explosions. When she tried to blow us up like 4 or 5 times.
How did your relationship improve from there if every encounter was near murder?
She needed us. It was more of a tenuous alliance than an actual... it was more of a tenuous alliance rather than actual friendliness.
So, It was basically, I failed to kill you, so you must be great?
She needed our help to kill to kill Yggdrasil.
Oh, is that what it was called?
Yes.
Gesundheit.
What?
Never mind.
Ayastal, you, okay there?
He's starting to round the corner now and doesn't seem to be responding.
He?
I guess we'll
I'm
have
sorry,
to ask...
I did say she, correct?
No, you said he.
he. I suppose we'll have to ask Kobold how steady that is.
Well, yeah, when he wakes up, we'll have to, inquire as to what the hell he did. I swear I can't leave him alone for a minute.
That's what Sully was for.
This is what happens when adult supervision is thrown to the wayside.
Rock's not much of a supervisor anyway, so
Sorry, Infill didn't know him enough to hang out that much.
Hey, Charlotte, you want to go to the workshop? Okay.
Don't cock your musket. Somehow.
It has to be some.
Is it supposed to make that noise?
No, it's not. And when I first did that, I was thinking of the scene from, is it Scary Movie 3 when the guy pumps
Oh,
the
the guy.
shovel?
I remember that.
Just
I
the
remember
shell
that too.
flies out of the shovel. So good.
Actually pulling up that scene.
Oh, I'm doing that right now too.
Moving on, since I can't put that on stream.
Hmm.
I'm gonna grab the leg of Ayastal and trying to stop her.
Strength check.
That scene's so good.
You actually, with like digging your claws into the wood, you manage to slow her down, and as she rounds the corner, she stopped and she kind of stumbles forward, catching herself on the ground with her free hand. And you guys from around the corner hear a very, very heavy thud as something very dense
I'm gonna go around
falls
to
on.
her. Yeah. I was gonna say I'm gonna go right around and have her face right in front of my face so she can look at me.
As you do so, she sort of pushes herself into a seated position, bringing her legs out to face in front of her now. As her head kind of rolls upwards. She doesn't look at you or say anything.
I'm gonna just say her name and see if she responds, but just very calm.
There's a long pause after you say her name as her eyes sort of roll around her head and slowly start to focus in your direction. She doesn't say anything though.
I'm gonna think to Sora, what is wrong with her?
There's a pause as Sora sort of probes out into Ayastal's mind. Sora eventually states to you, this body is not meant for her soul, and thus it may take some time for her to fully embrace it. Can you give me an insight check, Rock?
Technically speaking, this body was indeed made specifically for her.
You can tell she's holding back some information from you, but you're not sure what.
Hmm. I'm gonna file that away and dwell on that a little bit. But for right now, I just nod and stay there with Ayastal, just talking to her gently so she has a familiar voice.
Give me a charisma check.
Oh god.
Nope, that's a save.
All right,
That's about right.
it's really average. This is really intense music. Let's not do that. What are you guys doing in the meantime?
Sleeping.
Eric's will be watching the interaction between Rock and Ayastal. He, after there's no response, he's gonna go over to Rock and just, quietly say, I think we should just leave her be for the time being.
I nod, but I'm not gonna move for right now.
I figure I'm not gonna get him to move or anything, so I'm just gonna head off and, well, go finish my dinner, I guess.
Time to resume my meal.
Infel's just not sure what to do about any of this. Like, this is fine, I guess. She's cool.
She seems to be cool. I mean, she seems out of it, but not violent. Aside from the whole basically using Cobalt to punch open the door.
By she seems cool, you obviously mean she's totally awesome because she's in a stone robot body.
Oh, hell yeah, dude.
Well, guess I'll go check on Cobalt then.
Alright. You go down to the infirmary and go check on Cobalt. The servant who had brought him down is currently making sure that the bed is stocked with good clean linens and a empty and clean bedpan beneath. He's just finished basically tucking him in and just making sure he's not bleeding or dying.
I suppose I'll... Infel's not sure what to do. How do you take care of unconscious little ones? I guess I'll get a wet cloth and start wiping him.
He is absolutely filthy, so that might be a good idea.
Oh, Dova, I
Yes.
just realized something.
Yeah?
Still have the collar on.
You're right. Well,
Never mind.
as you're watching, the collar begins to, or a small, almost like a dog collar around his neck, starts to sort of crackle with a very small amount of arcane energy.
Yeah, let's just say it was drained. It just recharged now. It just
A lot
As
of
it-
magic was going on in that room.
Yes, it might have been shorted out or something. You're not too experienced with magical items to really gain any information about that. But it seems to be active now again. It's very slowly, though, as it starts to work through its backlog. Every so often, a little bit of the filth on Cobalt scales is sort of wafted away in a very faint cloud of foul-smelling mist.
Also, Not Rations is in ooze form, just like kind of chilling on his shoulder.
Alright.
Like snuggling up against him if an ooze could snuggle.
As you pull the sheets back just a little bit to check his pulse, you see nestled like up against his neck is a faintly sort of jiggling, oscillating mass of basically what looks
Silver.
like molten metal. Yeah. As your finger accidentally brushed against it, and there's this brief sensation of like a faint burning, itching sensation on your finger.
Huh? What? What a strange little device you have there, child. I suppose we'll try and wipe the collar?
Alright. With the intent to clean it?
Yes.
Alright. You do so with basically just a wet towel that was left nearby, or the wet towel that you actually had to. Yeah. And you clean off the collar, and it doesn't seem to have a name tag on it.
Children shouldn't be getting to things like this. I guess I'll ask when I wake up. Perhaps I'm just misunderstanding.
Fully possible.
Is there a clasp at the back that I can remove?
Yes, it basically has the same mechanism as a dog collar, and just removing it is very, very easy.
I'll just put it on a table beside the bed, I guess.
Oh,
Alright.
as you go to remove it, Not Rations is gonna kind of block it.
As you try, you get it unclasped a little bit, but as you go to the second layer of it, that silver blob of material sort of oozes across his neck and partially engulfs one of your fingers for a moment. It's cold to the touch, but again, there's that faint burning sensation.
Shoo. Go away, you strange puddle. I'll withdraw my hand briefly
Alright?
and wonder why Kobold's not being burned.
No idea. This is definitely some sort of magic. Like, beyond question.
Hmm.
Can Eric's wander in at this point?
Sure. As you go down to check on Cobalt's status.
Eric's is gonna come in the door and be like, "What are you doing?"
I'm checking on the unconscious child who sequestered himself in the room for 25 days, as perhaps you ought to.
By strangling him?
I'm taking off the collar. Why
Why?
would you let him wear this? This isn't a thing for children.
It keeps him clean.
What?
It does. It's magic.
Not right now.
It is still magic.
As you say that, another puff of dirt gets puffed off.
Oh. I guess it's just very delayed.
Out, out. Let me in here.
Of course, the concerned parent that arrives late.
Oh,
Yes,
If he was
That
going to
cannot
die, he would have done so before now.
He'll step back, but he's not leaving the room.
Eric's will go over, double check, make sure that he is all healthy and such.
All right, go ahead and make a medicine check.
I've read a couple of books on medicine. Can I get advantage?
Since you have the time to do this, then yeah.
Great. Maybe my roll won't fail this time. And both are great
Nice.
rolls.
Yeah. This is kind of weird. There's a sort of actually no, you wouldn't notice that. It seems that he was awake and just sort of working feverishly for a very, very long time. As far as you can tell, this is just sort of an accumulated fatigue that's slowly built up. Although, for something like this to happen over just 25 days, you're not so sure. Some sort of magic must have obviously maybe tired him out quicker or something. Nevertheless, the best thing for him would be rest at this time.
Kind of what I figured from the start. I will just be like, I'll relay the findings to Infel and... Alright, now, out. He needs rest. And not somebody trying to strangle him.
I'm still concerned that I'm the first one who checked on him, the one who knew him the shortest amount of time.
As I said, if he was going to die, he would have done so already, and I still would have, brought him back.
Kobold is significantly more adorable than he
You know
appears.
death is unpleasant, right? Jeez. And lizard folk are supposed to be the one without emotions. He says as he leaves the room.
Eric's is going to set two of the servants to guard the door, making sure
All right.
Infel does not come back in. He'll also set a third one to come and get him, or Gestalt if Eric's isn't in the mansion at the time, in case Cobalt wakes up.
Okay. Rock. Icestall sort of quietly starts to talk to you. She says, I never really expected it to turn out this way. I'm not sure whether I should be happy or not. I don't really feel anything right now. I can slightly feel the wood beneath me and the air.
I'm going to put a hand on her shoulder and look at her and say, you fought the way you are. You won a warrior's victory. You are alive now. Use it to.
She looks up at you, those strangely organic eyes, full of maybe uncertainty or maybe even fear, but
Oh,
She-
her eyes are half filled with.
Or what?
Nothing.
What?
Just ignore it. It's nothing. She slowly nods. There's a faint click as she blinks.
And Rock's looking at her not like some sort of robot. She's Ayastal.
There's another long period of silence in which there's this continuous small, very, very small noise of like a faint clicking coming from within her. Somewhere within the chest, you think. Before eventually she says to you, "Did the ship survive?"
I give her the biggest grin.
Well,
And go ahead.
I know what I said before. Even though you weren't the one to kill me exactly. Suppose it would be your ship then. As she slowly starts to stand up. There's the grinding of stone and metal, as well as the creaking of the wood below her, as her weight makes a fairly decent impression on the woodwork.
Can you say that again? You blanked out on my end.
Sure. What part did you hear?
I heard you didn't exactly kill me.
Okay.
And then it was just silence.
Fair enough. You didn't exactly kill me, but I suppose the ship is yours. I can't find it in me to captain right now anyways. As again, she slowly stands up. Do you
He
get
would
all
help
that?
her up. Yeah, I got that. He would help
Alright.
her up.
With your strength even, there's a limited amount that you can really do.
It's more for like sturdiness, like
Mhm.
steadying.
It does make you feel better at the very least. And she starts to slowly walk back around the corner towards the main area. You notice now that there's really no covering for her. Of course, she's not anatomically correct, but her features are still there as a female. But she doesn't seem ashamed of it at the moment.
I don't think she would have before either.
No, I don't think she would.
Yeah, she wouldn't care.
There was that episode at the hot springs, so yeah.
Oh yes, the hot springs.
That was a great one.
That was the best.
Anyways, what are the rest of you guys doing? In particular, Raku and actually, that would just be Raku.
I guess Raku's not exactly interested in what's going on with Ayastal, so he wants to check the caches on the airship for bullets.
Okay. Go ahead and roll an investigation check.
Alright. And I hope I can get a good number here. 22.
22, very nice. You do manage to find a small cache of ammunition that seems to have actually been for the musket. It wasn't in the treasure room.
Yeah.
It was actually among some of the ammunition for the cannons. But you find it, you count it all up the best you can, and you figure it to be around 36 shots worth of ammo.
Alright. Cool.
And correct me if I'm wrong, but it is considered a loading weapon, and I believe the actual item block from here correctly lists it. I remember looking at it, but I don't remember what it said.
Yeah, it's ammunition loading two-handed.
Excellent.
And I guess the ammunition is just considered bullets.
Yeah.
Which is the same for Renaissance and modern firearms.
The actual form of the ammunition is paper cartridges along with pre-wadded musket balls.
Just ball and powder.
Pretty much.
Alright.
Not loose powder, though. It's been pre-portioned, so yeah.
Okay.
So, yes.
Eric's is going to, he's gonna double check on Kobold one last time and then leave the mansion to go get ready to sail.
Alright.
He'll start organizing, he'll specifically start organizing the sailors into shifts with groups of the kobolds.
Alright. The sailors themselves are fairly hardened, actually. There's one among them who is fairly green, but the rest of them do have a decent amount of experience, and as far as you can tell, can pull their weight really very well. And you basically set it up so that there's always going to be at least 2 sailors on duty, just to make sure that, there's just always someone to train the kobolds to get to learn the cannons, as well as in the other duties of a sailor.
Eric's will also be, he'll be paying attention to the lessons as well, while in between, tending to the other duties on the ship.
Okay. Ayastal is going to start making her way. Well, she makes it to the common room and she sort of looks around. She's drawn quite a bit of attention from all the kobolds who still really aren't aware of the whole thing. A lot of them seem to abandon their meals. Some of them basically scarfing down whatever they can at the time. And then just booking it out of there, leaving out the front entrance and kind of just steering very clear of this large construct. She looks around again and she looks to you, Rock, and says, I don't recognize this place. Where are we?
I'm gonna look at her and say, "Our house," and I'm gonna take her hand and lead her out front of the door.
All right. It's kind of hard to take her hand, since you're basically having to hold it above your head.
He's used to it.
She's actually a little bit taller than what you remember. At the moment, I believe she's currently around 7 feet tall. More like probably 6.5, 6 and 10 inches. So she just kind of, well, she does follow. Leading her out the front door, she seems very confused that she's in the cargo hold, but with a sort of a newfound recognition, she lets go of your hand and starts making her way out towards topside, saying, sort of briefly looking back at the cart just kind of sitting with no wheels inside the cargo hold, saying, I'd always wondered why people spoke so highly of it.
I just shrug.
I don't see any of my crew here. How many of them made it?
None
What
of
do you
them.
say? I would. It's
Any
been
chance
what?
Eric's
Yeah,
could
he
wander
would-
by to answer that better?
They all bailed.
Could you give me a deception check?
No, that's how Rock Rocks.
That is true.
Oh yeah, some of the last guys kind of ran after the first mate and never came back.
Yeah. So he just sees everybody just bailed. So he's not lying.
Yeah, technically you are telling the truth.
It's just they bailed on life.
Well, I don't think anybody ever told Rock Rock that.
No. She kind of thinks for a moment and says, well, I suppose what they did was enough. If you
Hey.
trained that regiment of kobolds to do the crew's work, then I suppose I'll take that as a yes.
Sorry, you spaced out for a second. He would have nodded.
She starts to make her way topside. Kobolds going about their business, and kobolds kind of scurry out of the way. Sailors gawk from a distance, and there's actually a brief moment where one of the sailors is standing in a door frame, just kind of the green sailor in particular is staring at her, just sort of standing in a door frame holding a mop, saying,
Hey, Dova.
or sort of briefly stopping and staring downwards. Yeah?
Could Eric's have picked up a nice big captain's hat with a feather
Yes.
during the downtime?
No, it has.
You
It has
didn't
to be
get
a
the.
super. It has to be an overly big feather that is somehow almost twice the size of the hat.
Like a peacock feather.
Yeah.
Oh, I
yeah,
thought
the
you
feather's
were gonna
really
get
big.
Even bigger than
past-
even gaudier than a feather. Like you have no idea what bird this could possibly have come from.
It's a big fucking feather. It's like a feather from a rock.
Yes.
But if a rock was also a peacock, it's a peacock.
Sure, take away 10 gold from your character. Very
Alright.
expensive hat. Very expensive, but it looks fantastic. There's actually a store just in town in this port city that only makes captain's hats. There's a lot of people that coming just for hats.
Wait, do you have shoulder epaulets as well with tassels?
I have to have had my I have to have had my my armor modified to add those.
Okay, yes, you would have. They also sell those along with the hats. Basically, just captain's gear
The hats are just
For
a
the-
big selling point.
for the discerning admiral.
Yes.
So, anyways, Ayastal stares down at the awestruck crew member. She simply waits for a moment, then reaches out a hand, sort of placing it on one side of his shoulder and just pushing him aside. There's a brief scraping noise as he's transposed, stumbling slightly and catching himself on the mop, as Ayastal remains quiet and keeps walking. Eventually, she makes it to the captain's quarters. Eric's, where are you at the moment?
I am bustling around the deck. I would definitely have noticed her.
Yes, you would have noticed her, and you would not have been in the captain's quarters. But it doesn't seem that she's noticed you. She's proceeding straight from below decks into her quarters, prior quarters.
Yeah, I have kind of made some personal touches to it. Some plants
Such as what?
and such. I've
Plants,
got some potted plants. I added. I forgot to mention this, but during the renovations, I guess, of the ship, he would have had some a couple of bookshelves installed, specifically with little bars that he could unlatch and pull down to actually get to the books, but you know, typical stuff to keep them from falling off with the sway of the ship.
Not a ladder
Those
that
were
springs
actually
out from the floor.
already installed.
He would have added more.
Okay,
He does have a ton of books.
that's true. As you sort of watch them enter, and Rock, you're still following behind, correct?
Yes.
All right. Ayastal proceeds into the captain's quarters, looking around at the decorations. Does not seem to react much, actually. Before she proceeds to the desk and basically reaches an entire arm inside one of the drawers, definitely reaching into some sort of a hidden compartment. After a moment, she withdraws with what looks to be a bound or a rather sturdy-looking book, with a fairly heavy-duty clasp on it with a small lock. And at that time, Eric's, you would have walked in.
Yeah, I would have followed them in when I noticed. Hey, Ayastal, you feeling better?
Somewhat.
Well,
She stares at you.
we kind of took over the ship here. The rest of us had no idea you'd be coming back.
How long was I gone?
About
Oh, like 28
30
days.
28, 30
30
days.
days. Suppose that's understandable then. As she opens up what looks to be a wardrobe and starts to dress herself. The clothes don't fit as well as they did before.
If I may interject.
Yeah.
Due to the keen eye ability that Kobold has, he remembers exactly all of her proportions just by looking at her,
Yes.
and he remembers them for a month, which was luckily just outside.
Just within.
just
That is
outside.
correct. However, due to the fact that her body is no longer, well, soft, some of the points kind of pinch and don't quite move well. There's a brief moment of ripping as some of the clothes are forcefully made to fit, but they more or less are still intact as she dresses herself in something that's definitely not identical to the one she was wearing when she was inside the mech. She changes into one of her alternate uniforms. A pair of...
I thought you were about to say her alternate costume.
alternate costume. No. It's just a
No,
color
it's
shift
her
scheme.
alternate skin.
Yeah. Legendary skin.
Yeah. Oh no, this would probably be more of a common skin.
I don't know. She is metal.
I would say very rare.
True.
Oh, that's true.
Maybe
No, I
it's a
think
secret
legendary
rare.
would be like legendary. I think would be like Gollum, but also in pajama.
Yeah, you're right there. It would be... So this would be maybe a very rare then, yeah.
After
Anyway.
finishing dressing in, what are those baggy pants that sailors wear? I cannot think of the name right now.
Pantaloons.
Sort of. She basically looks like a very discerning captain now, as she did before.
Is it
Wearing
Douglas,
a...
or-
I can't remember the name. I believe it starts with a B. Anyways, she wears a rather high pair of boots. The sort of buttoned-up blouse, and a rather large jacket to wear on top of it. This jacket itself is a faint, faded blue color. Portal music?
Yeah, yeah.
Alright.
Just decide to interrupt the stream is what you're about to say.
We've got suggestions of bell bottoms and breeches.
Breeches! That's what I
Breeches.
was thinking of. Breeches.
I've always thought it was pronounced breeches, despite being spelled as breeches.
Well, breeches is more of a,
Slang.
yeah, for pants in general. I wouldn't be surprised if that's where the saying comes from, if the sort of word comes from. Nevertheless, as she finishes dressing, she pops open the lock on this book and retrieves she looks for a quill. Takes her quite a while to find it as everything has been rearranged slightly. You see her open it up, and it seems to be a journal of sorts from what you can see. She starts to move to the last entry. She looks to you, Erix, and says, "What's the date?"
I'll relay the date.
That's the time. That's the date.
10th day of Marpanoth, 1512.
She writes that down. She sort of nods and starts to write in her journal, sitting in the captain's chair.
Rix is
Kobold.
going to stand there awkwardly, because it's kind of his chair now, but he doesn't exactly want to upset her when she's, so new to being alive again.
Intimidating.
He's not that intimidated by her. It's more of it's just, he wants to speak up and be like, that's my chair now, and then he also doesn't.
Excuse me. Think you have my stapler?
Believe you have my captain's chair? Cobalt.
Yes.
You actually have a brief moment of consciousness as you sort of slowly drift awake. You still feel insanely tired, but you're sort of this ache that's going throughout your body at the moment sort of keeps you from sleeping.
I knew I should have learned sleep.
Cast sleep on yourself.
Exactly.
There you go. As you sort of come to and your eyes sort of focus in, you hear the sound of the door shutting. You sort of look towards the door and notice that nobody is in here.
I ritual cast, pass out again.
As you
okay.
drift back to sleep.
Oh, but before I actually fall asleep, I'm gonna tell him to be wary. I'm not forming complete thoughts, but that's all I can get out.
All right. A small appendage sort of
Salute.
protrudes from it and kind of gives a short salute. Yeah.
Great, I love it.
As you conk out again.
I'm sure familiars can communicate with me in my dreams, right? Like while I'm unconscious.
A little bit, yeah.
Good.
It's kind of cryptic, and in times of need, they can wake you up, but it's rather rare and very hard for them to do.
It's really difficult to communicate because the only thing you hear in the background is.
That's a dumb joke. I'm sorry. I'm sorry on behalf of Riku.
Dude, that's my favorite movie.
Dova,
Of course, I'm gonna do that.
Dova, you sounded so ashamed when you said that.
I feel ashamed for finding that funny.
Oh, I'm so.
Sorry about that. Okay. About 10 minutes pass. The sound of dock work still sort of wafts in through the open windows of the captain's quarters, and there's an unsteady thump of someone walking up into the office behind you. As you look, you see that it is Gestalt, who has made his way upstairs. He gives a very long look towards Ayastal, who's looked up at this point. You see him kind of nervously look to you and back to Ayastal and give a slight bow as he makes his way over to you, Erix. He says, "One of these servants has informed me that Cobalt has awakened for a short period."
Dova, I have a request.
Yeah?
Can Gestalt just like always refer to me like naturally as the young man?
As what?
The young master? Yeah, like in a British accent, but not a British accent.
The young master has awoken.
Yes, jeez.
You wish to be alerted would he awake, so doing so.
Yes, thank you. I will rush over to the rush back to the infirmary to hopefully catch Cobalt while he's still awake.
Alright. As you rush downstairs into the mansion and into the infirmary, you see that he is asleep now, sadly. Although, Cobalt, could you give me a constitution set check?
Sure. Check or saving.
Check.
There you go.
Alright. You are still asleep.
Great.
Cobalt, Eric. I keep trying to say Cobalt for some reason. Eric.
I know you've been doing that. Am I contagious?
I think so.
Apparently.
Eric's will frown and set a servant again to watch for Cobalt waking up again and go back to his captainly duties.
All right.
Oh, and I thought they were only supposed to notify Gestalt if Eric wasn't. Oh, he wasn't. They were in the captain's quarters. Never mind.
Yep.
My bad.
As you're leaving, Gestalt takes you aside, Eric, and says, Where did the metal one come from?
And thus begins the romance.
I didn't even think about that. Oh, cannot help but stare. Spigot. No, not spigots. What's it called? It sounds like spigots, but it's not. Sprockets. Sprocket.
Sprockets and pinions.
Eric's will respond. That is Iastol. I believe he would know who Iastol was.
And you've transformed her? What? I'm unsure of exactly what's going on here.
Unfortunately, you know about as much as I do. All I know is that Kobold here put her soul into this body, and that happened.
Will she be staying inside the mansion?
I'm not sure yet. Right now, things are up in the air, but do plan for her to stay in the mansion.
I'll keep it open mind for such arrangements.
Thank you much. You do good work.
He gives a short bow and heads off to do his business.
And Eric's will go back to captain stuff. Still dwelling on the fact that Iastol was sitting in his chair.
When you get back, and Rock, you are still up there, correct?
Yes.
She eventually does finish with her entry, shuts the book, and slowly sort of turns the chair to face outwards towards the large window. The back of the ship is currently pointed towards the ocean. There's the some rather heavy clouds towards the west. Sorry, had to yawn. In addition to a somewhat wet, cold wind blowing in from the west as well. The weather recently has gotten somewhat colder, forcing you to wear an extra layer to remain warm. Basically, it's around October. Thus, things are really starting to chill, especially in these northern latitudes.
I thought we were more southern.
Right now, you're basically in maybe Illinois, if we're talking about latitudes.
Alright. Well, either way, before we do leave the port, Eric's will go get some heavy winter coats and such for the kobolds.
All right. That actually is going to be a bit expensive. So,
I figured.
for a batch order like that, maybe 120 gold pieces.
That's not as bad as I was expecting, but okay. That is more than acceptable. And can we get them right away so we can just start sailing now? Fine.
You would have noticed that it was getting colder earlier, so you would have gotten them in time for your departure.
Perfect.
As the kobolds finally finish up their last duties, releasing the moorings and having a tug pull you out of the harbor. The tug itself is a ship with rather large sails for its size. It also seems to be fairly heavy. As it sort of attaches a rope to the front of your ship, it starts to pull you out of the harbor. You were going to say something, Riku?
Yeah, I was gonna say while we were at port, I probably would have tried buying more ammo too. If it was around.
Yes, you would have managed to get just a handful, maybe 11 shots from your instructor, but nowhere else.
Okay, that's fine.
And that was really just included for free with the training that you got.
Alright, I should probably look into making my own freaking stuff.
Weren't we talking about you using your loaf arsenal to make biscuit ones?
What?
Like little itty bitty... Or no, it was donut holes that you were gonna make for ammo.
Oh, maybe, but I still need the dragon powder. Or black powder,
True.
which is just sulfur and carbon, so... But I guess Raku doesn't know that.
Alright. You all are officially sailing. Where the heck are you guys going?
I was preparing for level 13 instead of sailing.
No, we haven't...
You guys
We're not even level 12.
I did something pretty great, I must say.
Yeah.
Yeah, you went up a level without anyone knowing.
Eric's will actually approach Iastal,
Alright.
asking if she knows where we can get the airship portion fixed and repaired.
I had this written down. That's even great, you know? But like the expert DM that I am, I have lost that note. Naturally.
And cue
Yeah,
Anir's response.
Yep. That's where it was.
There we go. There's Anir's response.
No.
Oh, and now you got Croctor Who going off about Top DM 2018.
Oh, shit.
So I guess Raku is just going to be training.
Alright.
11 out of 10 for... You got an 11 out of 10 there, Dova. But you've got a minus 20 to paper handling.
Yeah.
I'll be shooting birds.
It must be those. It must be a combination of the claws and the feathers. Like
It must be.
Yeah.
Has to be. She responds saying, "When I obtained the ship, the previous owner was a man from the south, near Kalimshan. But he did talk of... Well, it didn't really talk, it was more of a scream, but... He did say the word, Halrua, which I later learned to be where this airship was built, so...
Alright.
But is it not? As she kind of just rubs her forehead, there's a small, like, grinding noise as her fingers grind against her stone and metal forehead. Halrua, as you would very vaguely know, is a city on the southern edge of the continent of Faerun. You've heard rumors that it's this like technological wonderland or others that it's a sort of a warring barbarian state. It's not very well known. They kind of keep to themselves. That, and they've had a bit of a falling out in the recent years. Not much has come out and not much has gone in.
Oh joy. Smells like adventure.
Yeah.
Well, I guess we set sail for Halrua. I assume that I could locate it on the map in the my quarters.
Yes. As you kind of work around her, as she's still sitting in your chair.
He's gonna keep glancing little glares her way, just little stealth ones.
Doesn't seem to notice. But yes, Harua is south of the Underchasm, south and to the west of it.
Yeah,
almost directly south of the Lake of Steam. And yes, you would know fairly exactly where it is. There is fairly obvious markings of a very, very tumultuous region around the coast of Harua. Basically, drawings of storm clouds, of very pointy rocks, stuff of that sort.
Well, while you are all doing that thing, I'm just gonna hang out with Zell. Apparently the only agreeable kobold here.
Zell is currently... it's not slacking. You just haven't been told to do anything, so he's not doing anything. And you guys basically...
That sounds like my work ethic.
Yeah. You guys basically hang out near the front of the ship, exchanging some stories about each other, and every so often bringing up Sully in some manner or another.
It's good to get more information.
Yes, it really is.
And I mean, if we got that much time to kill, we could always make our throats rough with more training.
I'm feeling good for now. As he kind of croaks out.
Goodness, we did a number on you, didn't we?
I'm surprised that your voice is already back.
Paladins recover very quickly.
Ah, right. As you guys basically do nothing but shoot the shit for a fair number of hours until night eventually falls. Shifts change out, and you guys get a fairly decent night's sleep. Nobody has any strange dreams, nothing of that sort. Aside from you, Infel. You just did not get a good night's sleep. You felt continuously uncomfortable for the whole night. I mean, you awaken feeling completely able to continue out your duties, but God, that was just a rough night. Really not sure why.
Well,
the heck was that?
I don't know.
I don't know. I got called by.
With an unquiet mind, might as well go pray, I suppose.
All right.
Can anyone hear me?
Yeah.
Okay, that Discord just glitched out and started calling you for some reason.
Wow.
I don't even know what happened.
Eris, you go down and check on Cobalt. He seems to be sleeping all right. There's no real, pressing matters inside the ship for you to deal with at the moment. But when you return back up to the captain's quarters, Ayastal's kind of sleeping in the bed. Not really sleeping, but She seems to be turned on her side, facing the wall. She draped over her.
I will just kind of look at her and hesitate between waking her up so he can sleep in his bed.
Oh,
Sorry,
sorry,
what?
kobold.
Before finally deciding to just go back to his room in the mansion.
All right.
Giving instructions to the one in charge on duty to where he'll be if he's needed.
Yes. Gort.
Oh man,
Ah.
gone ladies sleeping on my bed on the boat. I guess I'll go sleep in the magic mansion.
Where every one of my needs is taken care of. Dang.
They're my quarters!
If my blood rate. This is my goddamn bed. You're gonna have to tell her off one of these days, Eric's. You're gonna have to say enough is enough.
I'll get
Oh.
it. I'll get there. I'll get there. I'm just
Of
giving
course,
her
you can
some
only stand up
time
to lizard
to...
folk, can't you?
I'm just going to give her some time to get more acclimated to her... Actually, that might be a bad idea.
It's like asking somebody who stole your milk money the milk money back.
It might be better to tell her before she actually figures out how to, punch me in the face.
Actually, Rock, it's more like someone died and then you took your milk and then you took their milk money and now they're asking for their milk money back after resurrecting themselves.
Yeah, that's basically what it is.
Technically, we did take her milk money.
Took her milk money, her ship, her everything, so I kind
We
of
took
just...
her milk money, we took her milk bottle. We took the
Technically-
carton that held the bottle.
She promised that ship to us.
She promised the ship to Rock.
That this is true. After she shot me, and threw me off that ship. He still has that scar.
Looks good.
Oh, he loves it. It reminds him of her.
It's one of those where you don't want to be rude because you took their thing, but it is yours now. So he'll just leave it be
Oh.
for now.
And more specifically, not only are they alive, but they show no interest in drinking milk. So
And
it
have
makes
no
it even
need
more
for
awkward.
Yeah, they show no
Exactly.
interest in drinking milk anymore. They just want it back.
But they didn't ask for it back. That's the important part.
As you're returning back to the mansion, you hear the heavy creak behind you in the captain's quarters as it seems that Ayastal has gotten up and is walking out. As she walks out, she kind of sees you over the stairwell. She turns onto the bridge itself, taking up a position behind the tiller, basically just standing there and watching.
Okay, that's a step too far.
What?
Standing and watching, that's my job.
Where she is doing so.
In her quarters.
No. She's up on the bridge where she's behind the tiller.
So, apparently she's the captain now.
Eric's
You have
is
to
gonna
assert
go,
your authority. Your
Eric's is
very
gonna go
fancy
up
hat.
and be gonna go up.
What's your fancy hat even mean if you're a doorman?
You were kind of gone, and I kind of took over the ship now. I'm not sure what you're doing, but I'm the captain now.
Give me an intimidation check.
At disadvantage.
I don't know. He's wearing a big captain's hat.
Ah!
At
He wasn't really trying to
disadvantage.
be intimidating this time, anyways.
She
this
just
time.
looks at you and ignores you.
She looks at you, then kind of makes her way over to the railing. And as she's sort of leaning down, sort of propping her elbows against the railing and just looking out, she says, she kind of looks at you and says, right. Just I'll stay out of your way.
That is appreciated. I do have need for an actual experienced first mate, though.
Oh man, did I just make a golem out of Grok's job? Or Gort? Yeah,
Gort.
Gort. Did I just make a golem and place him?
You don't know. You're still asleep.
Then they're replacing our jobs with golems.
Damn golems taking our jobs.
They took her job!
Took your jobs.
So I like to picture that no matter how, like, what position Ayastal is in or what she's wearing, she always looks significantly more captain than Zim.
Kinda, yeah.
Like,
She doesn't
she's
have the
always,
hat, but she has the rest of the clothing.
well, just her position too. Like her clothes are always billowing in the breeze in just the perfect way, and she's always like looking into the wind. She just has an air of captainy about her that Zim hasn't quite grasped yet.
Her non-existent hair is flowing in the wind.
Exactly.
She does have a very captainly vibe about her, but it seems very muted right now. She says to her, she says to you, not yet. I've got a lot of things to think about.
Alright. At the least, please feel free to advise. But
She
it is my ship.
nods. She slowly nods and continues just watching over the railing.
He will let out a... He will hold it until he is out of earshot of her, and then let out a sigh of relief, and go to sleep in his quarters.
Alright, you do so. And
Infel
you
is
guys...
watching this whole time and calls him a wuss as he passes by.
As you kind of croak out. Your voice has recovered mostly, but there's still that little bit of roughness in it.
Look, man, it's hard for any kobold to stand up to any kind of dragon.
It's true. And
So
this
Infel
one is
just called
made of
Eric's
metal.
a wuss?
Though my battle cry may give me away.
Oh. I think we've got... Alright, we've got some ethereal influence from Anir.
Alright.
He says, I want to help out Infel's knight a bit, making a mini tuner disc appear in his hands, playing a music box for him to relax to.
Alright.
Huh. Cool.
I assume
There's
that's being
As
accepted.
Mini music box floating around me now.
As your mind basically refuses to settle down, there's just, for some reason, it almost feels as though it's buzzing. There's a faint sense of soothing coolness as the room has a very brief, very dim moonlight within.
Well, I mean, I was praying beforehand now, but this is interesting.
There's almost like a faint choir, backed by a violin as well as another stringed instrument which you can't really put your hand on. Which you can't really place. But with the soothing music provided to you, you eventually do finally fall asleep. As you all awaken the next morning, you feel ready to take on the day ahead of you. And Cobalt, after sleeping for roughly 13 or 14 hours, you do awaken a little bit after everyone else. And as you guys are sitting down for breakfast, actually almost done with breakfast, Cobalt sort of just stumbles in. Blanket still kind of tied around his ankle as he's basically just dragged it in with him.
No, I brought it in with me. It's still tied around my shoulder.
There you go.
The first thing Eric's would have done was check on Cobalt.
All right. Go ahead and give me a medicine check.
Right, you don't want to be one-upped by Infel again.
As before you really take a good look at him, he seems to be all right. Seems to have gotten a good night of sleep, although he looks very gaunt at the moment. Cobalt, you are famished.
I order everything. The whole meal that they just ate.
All right. Eggs Benedict, of course. Like, you have the opportunity and the means to have just Eggs Benedict every day, so of course you're gonna have it.
I don't know. Steak and eggs sounds pretty good too.
Steak and eggs does sound pretty good. So you order that as well. There is a country fried steak with some gravy along with some biscuits. As you basically stuff yourself full of very hearty breakfast objects. You guys actually watch as this just blur of like a feeding frenzy of Cobalt as he immediately jumps up onto a stool. At one point, you're not sure, but you think he just grabs an orange and bites into it like an apple, then immediately tosses it aside and continues on like nothing happened.
You occasionally catch a glimpse of a mage hand also doing what his hands are doing.
Just shoveling
As if he has
food
three
in.
hands shoveling.
All right, what do you guys do?
Did I miss anything?
Not much. You guys are eating breakfast right now. Cobalt is awake, conscious, and outdoing you in terms of how much food you're eating.
Oh, I
That's
cannot
impressive.
have that.
I suppose impromptu eating contest.
Yep.
You cannot pack away more than me.
Oh, but with magic I can pack away fast.
A child cannot eat out Rock. Rock is
Cannot out eat.
Ah!
You said cannot out eat Rock.
cannot out.
Yes, that's exactly what he said.
That's
Yep.
exactly what I heard him say. Yes.
Yes.
Alright, me and Charla are gonna get out of bed and come down for breakfast.
As you, of course, get her into a seat first.
Yes.
You enjoy you actually order French toast.
Sounds reasonable.
Basically watching the rest of them kind of dig into a bunch of eggs and meat-based dishes is kind of throwing your appetite for a little spin. It's kind of unnerving, actually.
Eric's will
So-
order a centipede egg omelet with coriander made French style, red caviar in that, and a licorice liqueur.
What's a liqueur?
It's like a dessert.
No,
Yeah.
I'm asking Zim. Or
It is
Eric's.
a thing. It is a drink.
No, I know it is.
Okay then, what's the problem?
He's asking in character.
No, not really.
Oh,
I'm
dang it.
because he had no idea what it was before. I had to tell him what a liqueur is.
Yes, all that was some Arnold brick oven white with boysenberry jam. Not raspberry, boysenberry. There's a distinct difference of taste between the raspberry and the boysenberry, and it just goes much better with the Arnold brick oven white.
I'll just ask for a giant raw fish. Thanks.
As the servant takes a rather long time noting your order down, it sort of nods, looks over at Infel, and just writes down basically 3 letters, what it seems like. It eventually comes back in... Actually, no. The moment that you said that order, one of the servants is already coming out with a large halibut, it seems.
Yes.
The other servant didn't even write it down.
No, yeah.
They remembered last time.
Yeah. About 10 minutes pass before they eventually start to bring your stuff out, Eric's. And
Wow.
it is wonderful.
I mean, I start by biting its head and crunching its skull. As you do.
Do you mind? You're making Charlotte uncomfortable.
And what would I...
Don't look at her.
This is
Right.
This is
Don't.
this
Don't.
transition between is between endearing to obsessive, very quickly.
Blackrock ordered a whole
Don't
board.
teach
and
my
he's in the middle of
Charlotte
it.
to suck eggs!
I can't.
I don't
You know
know.
what?
I don't know who Charlotte is.
Infel will cast Speak with Animals. Maybe then he'll understand.
Oh wait, can you cast that spell that makes it conscious?
Awaken.
Yeah.
Oh my god.
No.
Get me the gem and I will happily cast that.
I'll give you a withering look.
This
How
gun is
dare
gonna
you
be my
enable this.
familiar.
I need an
There's a
agate
difference-
worth at least
Okay.
1,000 gold pieces.
There's a difference between a familiar and something that can actually have emotion.
So basically 10 platinum.
Hey, just because she doesn't show it doesn't mean she doesn't feel it.
And that would be 100 platinum.
Platinum doesn't help because it does specifically mention an agate.
Well, yeah, but you need to actually find an agate, I suppose.
Actually, Dova, didn't you say we can just assume we have it? Or is that just
gold-
for smaller
the gold-
spells?
The gold cost is consumed if the spell component is consumed, but you are fairly well prepared, so we just basically assume that you have those materials on hand.
We did
Especially
spend a
with
long time in
a-
the city.
Yeah.
Alright. Give me the gun and give me 100 platinum and you can talk to her tonight.
Oh, how long does it last?
It is permanent.
Oh.
The casting
Dovey, you
time
brought
is 8
this upon
hours.
yourself.
Oh wait, it actually is a huge or smaller beast or plant. So it would have to be up to Dova whether he'll allow it to work on the gun.
I mean, she's mostly wood.
For 3 times the cost, I will consider it.
Fuck off.
For 4 times,
Yeah,
will it just
hold
happen
on.
for sure?
Kobold also has to cast
How much-
animate object first.
How much money do you want to put into this? Because I'll...
13,000 copper pieces.
How much more for animating the gun? God.
just like put all your money in a pile, and I will let this happen.
All of it.
All of it?
I
So
mean,
the
if
way
you
it
don't
works
put
is-
all of it, I'll consider it.
So the way it works is that the awakened creature is charmed by you for 30 days, or until you or your companions do anything harmful to it. When the charm condition ends, the awakened creature chooses whether to remain friendly to you, based on how you treated it while it was charmed.
So my gun's gonna try to bang me.
I'm not sure how well
Yeah.
obsessive
Yes,
goes
bang.
over
it will go bang.
animated.
Get it, bang, yeah, I get it.
But here's the thing of it being awakened versus sentient. Every time I fire it, it's gonna go, "Oh God!" Ah! It just starts screaming because the explosion going on
no.
inside of it.
Major ethereal influence from a near.
Oh,
I'll help
no.
out. Give the
I
gun a
reject
lady
it.
spirit to be awakened and animated. Bend the rules. This is too hilarious.
I was already bending the rules.
Yeah,
No.
seriously.
Refuse this. You can do that.
Dova can choose to refuse it, but
I can
technically
refuse
this
it, but I'm
is
not going
I'm
to.
I'm gonna be totally honest. Sentient magic weapons are usually ridiculously strong and obscenely rare. Maybe one in an entire case.
they're not necessarily strong, but major ethereal influence is used to give somebody magic items. So, I mean,
If
making
you
the
want to
gun
just make this like a
sentient
+1, make it sentient.
doesn't even have to be a +1. It can just become sentient.
Well, if this thing's gonna talk back to me, I want a little bit more.
You've been treating it right.
Isn't that
What do you have
enough?
to fear? Yeah.
Dova, accept a refund.
Except.
Am I still gonna need to cast the spell?
Yes.
How much is it gonna cost?
The normal cost.
Alright, Raku, give me the 100 platinum.
Kobold sneers at this
okay.
crude imitation of his craft.
Infel will look equally repulsed.
Eric's will do it in his captain's quarters. It does take 8 hours to cast the spell.
All right. We'll get that done by, well, the end of the day.
Oh, I really want it to
Body
be
deep in
just
pig.
Hold on.
sentient more than awakened. I don't know if there's much of a difference.
No, there really isn't.
Hold
No.
on. Are you gonna charge him extra for the 8 hours it's gonna take you? Because that's a whole day that you're not doing anything.
He's
that
my
you would've wanted
brother.
to do. Oh, so you wouldn't charge your brother?
No.
I'm reminded of that Harry Potter scene where Ron buys something from Fred and George's store. He's like, 7 galleons, but I'm your brother. And they look at each other, 10 galleons.
So, so the gun will gain an intelligence of 10. It will also be able to.
It's as smart as me.
It's not that hard, really.
Hey, Trash Panda for you. Thanks for the follow.
I can't believe this gun is smarter than Rock.
A lot of fish are smarter than Rock.
The gun will also gain the ability to speak one language that I know. Which language would you like?
I guess just common.
No, the French.
Dragonic.
The language of love.
I could have it speak Druidic.
That's not gonna help me.
You're just a dick.
And isn't Druidic symbols?
No, it's an actual spoken language.
How are you, baby? Tree, fauna, florist, plant.
Well, guess you
I
better
wish I
study up
could've-
on that druid craft.
The target will also gain the ability to move its limbs, roots, vines, creepers, and so forth. And it gains senses similar to a human's.
Ooh. so it could pull its own trigger.
Yeah, it could be a moving turret.
Don't make her angry.
Anyways, moving on.
You know what? I'm just gonna stand, march over to Rock, grab him, and haul him away from the table.
Who is
dragging-
that baguette person? And why aren't you using me?
I'm dragging
That's
the,
not what it looks like.
I'm dragging the pig I was eating along. I would not
Alright.
lose this food contest.
Basically, an entire ham hock.
Yeah.
It's unfortunate to say you're the most sane one here right now.
Chew chew, crunch crunch.
Would you like to fight?
I
Huh?
perk up and just nod.
Hey, Rock, you want a rematch?
I just hope he doesn't have fire.
Hey, you're busy.
I wasn't saying that actually in character.
Oh, but I'll fight him. Generally, that's shitlord.
Anir wants
Yeah.
to make the quiver sentient too.
Oh,
Stop this.
Lord.
You on handbag.
Oh my god, is this gonna be a love triangle between Furry and his equipment?
This is just getting
It's so
ridiculous
dumb.
now.
Yeah, this.
You
this
allowed
is...
this, Dova.
Yeah,
This is
you
going-
see, this is
I
your
allow
fault,
this. You guys are gonna deal with the consequences, not me.
Nova.
I-
Given
You
I-
have to speak for the gun, Dova.
So this is gonna
And
be
the
fun as
quiver.
hell.
Let's just stick with the gun.
We're gonna go with the gun for now. Anyways, what are you guys gonna do today? There's nothing really planned, as a lot of the time is going to be spent just towards traveling. However, Eric's, as you travel out towards the captain's quarters to perform the ritual, you notice that Iastal is still sort of leaning on the railing, looking outwards.
She's probably not gonna bother you.
He's gonna go check on her before
Don't
he
jump.
begins.
You have so much to live for.
Hey, how are you doing there, Iastal?
Trying to use reverse psychology.
She kind of
Don't jump.
blinks a few
Come
times
back.
and looks at you. She says, "Suppose I feel a little better.
Well, that's good.
Still kind of surreal."
So, this may be insensitive, but what was the afterlife like?
She kind of raises her eyebrows, turns to look at you. She shrugs. "I don't know. I didn't see any."
Well, I guess if he grabbed your everything, then yeah, probably. I guess I could see that.
Why don't you ask her about Sully?
Ah,
the thing
good
is-
point.
the thing
Do you-
is, like, Kobold grabbed her soul right as they were about to explode, so she probably only has memories of that.
do you happen to know what happened to Sully?
I can't believe I had to
Oh,
remind you.
I
Well,
didn't
I
see
kind
him
of-
here, so I assumed the worst. There was well, he disconnected himself from the head at the last moment. I remember him touching my arm and then casting some sort of spell, but that was it. I don't know if he got out or not. I would have expecting that dying would have involved a little bit of pain, but I don't remember any of that.
Well, it sounds like he grabbed you before. You actually, died.
Mhm.
Well, if you don't mind, I need you to substitute captain for me today. I've got a long ritual spell to cast and can't really interrupt it, so at least for the next 8 hours.
I suppose I could do such.
Thank you much.
She
And
nods and slowly gets up and moves towards the tiller.
he'll head to the captain's quarters.
Alright.
Digi, out of character. I didn't ask because I kind of assumed that she would have no idea.
Okay.
I mean, she kind of brought us on board because we know magic and she doesn't. And presumably, if he is still alive, there is some kind of magical reason.
Yeah, because that was a point-blank nuke, right?
Something like that.
Pretty much.
It's kind of like if you were inside a nuke as it went off.
Yeah.
Yeah. Dova, he's kind of just giving her more of a purpose right now.
Mhm.
He's sure that, because he could actually be interrupted a bit and stuff and give orders and whatnot, but still just give her something, a purpose of things to do.
Alright.
Anyways, that's what I'm doing today.
Next along. For the rest of you guys, do you have any special plans?
Not really.
I just told on Rock to fight.
Alright. Do you want to actually do the combat, or we could just do it
Let's
basically
not
just a
actually do
few
the
rolls?
combat. If I could put in my opinion.
Alright. I suppose that is a good idea, just to get moving along.
Yeah.
They spend the day beating the tar out of each other.
Pretty much. What sort of weapons are you going to use against each other? The training room does have a suite of practice blunted weapons and such.
Come on, Dova,
No.
it's Rock. He's
So, just regular axes.
using his axe.
I'm just gonna use my Moon Touch sword. It's my blessed weapon.
As you guys literally beat the tar out of each other.
I'm waiting for one of these days for Rock to be training with somebody and somebody loses a limb.
Yeah.
And then Eric's is
I'm-
just going to be like, I can't do anything. I have the ability to make you a new body, but I can't put an arm on.
Crap, I can't just put the armor on. Well, time to kill him and give him a whole new body.
I will forever whine about that because it makes no goddamn sense.
Help me! I can't help you unless you're dead!
Give Rock enough time, Eric, and you'll have an opportunity.
Both of you, could you roll a 3 attack rolls?
Okay.
With whatever weapon you're using.
Ooh.
Ooh.
Hacks.
Wow,
I
nice.
call hacks.
Rock, you feel kind of nervous. You've met your match. Infel, with a hearty amount of strength behind him, is able to keep up with you. As the sort of pint-sized slasher
Haha.
continues to try to attack him, he backs off, blocking whatever he needs to, with a combination of some scale mail as well as his actual scales, he's able to lay quite a heavy beating on you, and by the end of the day, you guys are bushed. Due to the excitement of it all, you basically completely skipped lunch.
Training. Every time he trains with somebody, he loses, but when he's in actual combat, he murders everything.
I know, right? It's weird.
His heart's not in it. That's what it is.
Sure.
He has two switches, not kill and kill, and the not kill is not working.
Well, Infel will feel a little relieved. It seems not everything is wrong.
Cobalt, I sent you a message over Discord in regards to your request.
Ah,
You fight well, Cobalt. Or Rock, was it?
I nod and extend my hand.
I'll take it.
Hearty handshake.
You feel like manly brothers.
Do you want some healing?
What do you say?
Do you want some healing?
I shrug.
you want some healed?
Hold on while I do an insight check. Because that's not a no, but it's not a yes.
Do you want to be a healer?
It's a shrug.
Okay. Heal. This was basically just a heavy sparring match. Neither of us used our good things.
Yeah.
Eric's. As you're in the middle of your ritual, you hear a thud on the ground behind you. As you sort of pause the ritual in a place where you can resume it, you look and you see one of the books has fallen off the shelf.
Shortly after the entire boat rotates 90 degrees to the left, you are now on your side.
The boat is haunted.
No, the boat seems to be upright.
Upright and haunted.
Just for the record, real quick, I was actually sitting in the captain's chair behind the desk working there.
Yes.
I'm gonna get up and go over to the book curiously and look at the title of it.
This book actually is one of your books. It's one of the engineering books. One of the ones regarding to carts and wagons.
I'm gonna look up at the shelf where it should have been well secured.
The bar that was holding the rest of the books in place still seems to be in place. You're not sure what happened.
I will put it back and give a look around the room.
Everything else seems to be in place. There's a magic aura sort of surrounding the rifle on your desk at the moment. But nothing out of place.
I will shrug and go back to my ritual.
Alright. Riku, what are you doing?
I'm wandering the ship with emotional views, just hands on the guardrail as I'm separated from my Charla.
Are you gonna write a poem?
No, I'm gonna take out my bow and shoot some birds.
Go ahead and roll 3 attack checks. Or 3 attack rolls.
Okay.
As there are a hearty amount of seagulls just constantly flocking around this ship.
That's 1, 2, 3.
Yeah, no. Taking a bit of time and with a bit of like a bittersweet satisfaction as you impale 3 seagulls one after the other. You think to yourself, this could be better. I could be doing this with something much better. You gotta grab your heart and pine for the one you love.
Just an outstretched arm towards the sea.
Towards the setting sun. At that moment, you feel something strange. Like something just a warm feeling within your chest. As Eric's completes the ritual. You hear a very long and drawn out yawn, Eric's. Oh, who are you, darling?
Or
Voice, please
repeat
give
that?
a voice.
Who are you, darling?
Oh, hey, good, you're awake. I'm the brother of your,
Wielder.
wielder, yes.
Ah, so that's his name. I never did catch it.
It's
Oh, bring him
Raku.
to me at once, please.
I will. I'll go to the door and send one of the kobolds to fetch Raku.
Thought you had a
Uh,
message.
I don't have message.
Who else message?
I do.
Okay.
Anyways, yeah, I'm sending random kobold to fetch Raku.
Cobalt, you actually received that message.
I received.
What?
Oh.
Oh, sorry, you were sending it to a random Kobold crew member, or just a random
Oh.
person?
I
Right.
went to the door, and the first kobold I see running past, I grab him and tell him to go get Raku.
All right. The Kobold brown one just simply nods and runs off towards the front of the ship. Raku,
What is it?
Captain Eric's has news for
Can't you see that my heart is yearning?
I'm sorry. As he kind of slinks away, he wants this whenever you have the time. As he kind of scurries back away.
You know, I would think that Raku was keeping very good track of the time. As this
Counting
point.
the hours.
Yeah, I think he would have like figured that out by now, and he's like,
Yeah. And like a message from Eric.
yeah, yeah, and so I will make my way towards the captain's quarters.
As you enter, you hear a female voice coming from the desk, as sort of laying on it, slightly propped up by Eric's, is your musket. As soon as it enters, it says, "Ah, my darling, it's so good to see you."
Sheila, it's so good to hear your voice outside of my head.
Was
Hey,
his name
what is her
Charla?
name? You have given her like 5 different names.
Sorry, Charla. I keep forgetting it. It's specifically supposed to be Charla.
I
This is
said
gonna be
Charlotte
bad
earlier,
for
and you're like, who is that?
You said Charlotte.
No, I
Yeah,
said,
you said
Charlotte.
Oh, sorry. Yeah, it's Charla.
Cynthia, my darling!
Oh, dearest Claire.
Elizabethany!
Alexandria.
Ronaldo!
Lori.
Sean!
So, anyways, Riku,
Yeah.
continue.
Well, I did. I didn't get a response.
Sorry.
I said, I said, hello, my Charlotte. It's so good to hear your voice outside of my head.
And it's so good to be outside of that head, I suppose. I would hug you if I could.
Don't worry, I can take care of that. I'm gonna pick up the gun, like spin around in a circle dramatically.
The faint, far-off music of a formal ball.
Yep.
I have added
Okay,
some
So,
little vine arms coming out of the, I think it's called the butt of the gun?
uh,
The stock?
I would say no.
Oh.
yeah, I think the arms are supposed to be like stuff that's already integrated. Yeah.
Yeah.
I'm pleased to not have to witness this as I am training.
So Dova, you
Yeah?
just said the romantic music in the background.
Yeah.
That immediately made me think that the tuner that was playing for ISL, for NFL, is like following our party around, playing extremely appropriate music in the background.
This session is getting out of control.
You allowed all of this.
I allowed it to get out of control.
Beauty and the Bull.
No, Beauty and the Bullet.
Yeah, that works too.
That would imply that Raku is the beauty.
Hell yeah. You think he isn't?
How
I
dare
don't know.
you?
Kobold's
He
not at the
definitely
age
is
Seen
to-
him
not.
address.
I don't know, Dova. Kobold's not at the age to start thinking.
That's fair. Alright, so what do you do now that you have your weapon?
You know, apart from immediately reload it vigorously.
Oh god. We'll do a fade to black on that.
Eric's is like, guys, I'm still in the room. I haven't left yet.
You mind
Okay,
taking this to a room that is not mine?
No, okay, so Raku's like, give us see, and Eric's is like, this is my room.
He says it. I'm like, all right, Charlotte, ready to shoot off your load?
Oh. Yeah, let's fade to black right there. We're not even going.
Dova, you let this happen.
I let this happen.
Rejected.
And here comes
How could you not?
here comes HR.
Here comes Twitch mods.
Anyways, the night passes without incidents for all but one of you. And the following day arrives. By now you've been at sea for 2 days. And are greeted with a very heavy fog today. Breakfast is rather average today. Nothing really special comes out. And Ayastal has not really moved from her spots up on the bridge. She seems to be rather content with just standing there and watching. She seems to be deep in thought most of the time.
Well, I know what I'm gonna do. I'm going to approach Cobalt today.
Alright. Cobalt, you're just finishing up your breakfast.
Hopefully feeling better.
Yes, feeling much, much better. You're clean. You had time to use prestidigitation fully on yourself. And the muffin that you're eating is delicious.
Time to start working on a new golem.
No.
Did I?
Yeah,
I don't
Cobalt's
think I
gonna
ever
be
actually
relaxed.
had the servants stop guarding Cobalt.
Every time someone walks by, he's like, "Sir," and the servant comes up to Eric. He's like, "Sir, someone's walking near Cobalt."
No, it's just they would specifically stop Infel.
Oh. I'd probably shoot them
I
away
thought you
very,
said
very
I thought
quickly.
you said them to guard the room.
I set them at the door to the room, but I told them not to let Infel near Kobold.
I'd probably shoot them away very quickly. Once I see that they keep following me. Alright, so what's up, NFL?
So,
Info?
child, I hear you're from the various more mannered crew that you're interested in teleportation magics.
Cole's gonna nod very quickly. It's still his mouth full of muffin.
I cast Misty Step
As
and
with
appear on his other side.
as it seems that a sort of a plane passes through Infel all at once. A short, misty plane. And you kind of look around briefly, and out of your peripheral vision, you see him on the other side. Sort of turn a bit of crumb that's on your maw, just flinging off in the other direction.
I am also.
He's gonna kind of look at him, and he like, if he was any more rude, he'd say, "Yeah, and," but he doesn't want to be rude, so he's just kind of looking at him, thinking of what to say, and he just kind of nods.
So, how far can you go?
He looks around real quick. He says, and he gulps down the muffin. He says, and then he disappears, and you don't know where he.
Where'd you teleport to?
Literally as far as I could go in the mansion.
So,
So like probably a corner in one of the far rooms.
yeah, so a corner inside of, I believe that would be Raku's room.
And Phil will sit in
Out
his
of there.
chair. And Phil will sit in his chair. This is so easy.
Oh my God! No, never mind. I'm not gonna say it. I'm not gonna say it.
Holy fuck, yes.
You know what? Screw it. I'm gonna say it. I teleport into Raku's room, and all I hear is a very loud "Get out!"
That seems about right.
As you would catch them in a compromising position. You
Is
do
he
hear,
covered in gunpowder?
yes. There, you also hear the yelp of a female voice as Raku scrambles to cover them with the sheets.
Mondu!
Oh my
We're
God!
doing anything. I was just lacquering her wood.
I feel like that innuendo would have worked better if it was a man.
There's so many
And Cobalt's gonna
innuendos.
say that in game. Yeah. Cobalt feel like that joke would have worked better if it was a male.
Anyways,
It's
as
still funny to
as
me.
Cobalt basically scrambles out of the room, shutting the door behind him
Oh no, he's gonna walk.
like a proper Chad.
I mean,
Anyways, as your morning is
You should use your tail for leverage.
settled out,
you're not Sully.
Yeah,
Sorry, continue.
yes, as eventually you make your way back to the breakfast table.
Alright, I'm gonna sit down and continue my muffin.
In the seat adjacent to your old one, as Infel is now sitting in your seat.
Okay, so I'm gonna say to Infel, hey, you wanna see something cool?
Infel?
Sure, why not?
And Cobalt's gonna grin and say, that counts as willing, and then they're gonna switch places.
That would work. As it's a strange sensation. It's almost as if, for a brief moment, you're just a mirror version of yourselves. But that's quickly normalized into the fact that you are now just in just traded positions.
So now I'm standing in the chair, and for a brief moment, he's in a sitting position in midair.
That sounds like a dexterity save.
No, you're just basically slammed down onto the chair.
Oh no, I wasn't sitting in the chair. I was standing next.
Talking to me.
Oh, not on the chair. Okay. Yeah. Dexterity saving throw.
I had to add a HR command.
I'll allow that.
As you are caught completely off guard and basically just fall flat on your back for a brief moment before being able to get up.
I'll look over to him, ponder, and say, "You're a cheeky little brat, aren't you?"
He's eating his muffin again. It's a very good muffin. Kobold always saves the top for last.
Of course. The entrepreneuring wizard would just cut off the bottom.
I'm not wasteful though.
You're better than a lot of us.
Well, there goes that bonding attempt.
Well, the entrepreneuring rogue would cut off the bottom and then sell both halves.
As whole muffins.
Yeah.
One is a slice of breakfast bread, and one is a slice of breakfast bread. The other is a muffin top. A new invention that tastes better than a muffin.
That was a spongy cake, or cake, and a mushroom cap cookie.
And how do you know that bonding exercise didn't work?
Because you yourself just said if he was any more rude, he'd ask, "And?"
Well, can you blame him? Misty Step is a third level. No, is it third or second?
Second.
No.
Make sure you're marking off those spell slots, by the way.
Oh yeah.
I am.
Well, I use my special thing for the mansion.
The first one, yes.
Yes. And then the second one was just my innate ability.
Mm-hmm.
So no spell slots.
All right.
You know, despite there's one other person in this mansion now that might take a interest in teleportation magics.
No. Well, okay, so it's not that he didn't think it was cool, it's that, like, you see, try to impress him, and Kobold is kind of emotionally oblivious.
Okay.
Christ.
Anyways, let's continue. Eric's up on top. Could you give me a perception check? With advantage, since you do have a spyglass, as well as other people up there.
Oh, wrong one. That'll be for Kale, because he's, on my shoulder.
Alright.
Yeah.
Fair enough. The fog that you're currently sailing in is... It's not heavy, but it's still moderately thick. You think you maybe have 200-foot visibility right now? Not too great, to be honest. You do hear something, though. There is a faint almost like another ship, possibly. Though you've no idea in which direction.
Just for the sake of caution, I would send off, I dispatch some of the kobolds to gather the party.
Okay. Before long, there is a knock at your door, Raku, as well as a kobold sort of alerting you all that you're needed up top.
Alright, well, I guess me and Charlotte will head up there.
All right.
Make sure you're decent.
Charlotte and I.
There you
Yeah, I was gonna say something like that, but it's kind of getting old.
go. Fair enough. Anyways, we'll continue.
It's already implied, as I can see, so I don't have to
Yes.
say it.
Yes. You up top continue to look around the ship, looking for that source of the noise. And by this time, you guys would have made it into the lower cargo hold. At which time, there is a very distinct ruffling of sails, as well as the faint creak of tackle and the rush of waves of a ship passing very, very close as the noise grows louder and louder.
I have a question.
Yes.
Does my divine sense detect anything?
What does that detect?
The presence of strong evil.
Strong evil?
Strong,
No, it
good,
would
and
not.
evil, right?
No, it just says the presence of strong evil registers on your senses like a noxious odor, and a powerful good rings like heavenly music to your ears.
Yeah, so it's both.
Okay.
No, in fact, you would not notice that. You would not notice any real sort of aura at all at the moment. You're just kind of walking up through the cargo deck, figuring out what Eric's wants with you.
He will also know the location of any celestial fiend or undead within 60 feet.
All right.
Oh, that is not behind total cover, so... I will be on the bridge. I would have had the kobolds. They would have been sent to combat positions as well as the sailors, just in case.
All right.
And I will be shouting out to the other ship. Who goes there? You're a little close there.
Yeah. Getting a little close, bud. Let's
Get off my ass!
No, that's
I'm
what
going
Charlotte
to-
says.
I think it's the opposite. Anyways, yeah, come on. Let's stop with the swearing. Ah, this is a big map. Wow. Airball. I believe that's actually everyone on the map. Wow.
If you're trying to share a map, we're not seeing it.
Yep, I'm not trying to share it yet.
Hey, exactly, Rock. FYI, Dova, Ray and I do have to be out by 9 our time, so about another hour.
So 1 more hour, okay. So, This is exactly where you are on the airship at the moment. Raku, Infel, and Cobalt. You are currently on the crew deck, the second deck. You are right near the middle, kind of near the hatch leading to the main deck. Rock, you've just made it onto the main deck right now, over by C8, more kind of like by C1. And Eric's, you are currently behind the tiller. The first mate, Gort, is steering while you are keeping watch. As you came on duty, you actually noticed that Ayastal wasn't near the railing. Briefly looking for her, you didn't see her, so you're not exactly sure where she is. You did hear word that she's almost sulking in the crew quarters, but you decided to kind of leave that be for now. You were only informed maybe 10 minutes prior. All of a sudden, there's the flickering of a lantern off your port side, maybe 100 feet away. As you start to see the outline of a ship emerging rapidly. The figurehead itself is adorned with a multitude of acquired decorations, mostly organic in nature, a lot of them containing bones, flesh, that sort of nature. And at about this time in Fell, something feels wrong. As you're climbing up the ladder, before you hear anything, before you see the ship emerging from the fog, something seems wrong. There's this profound sense of unease that spreads in the air and just almost burns your sinuses.
Dova, this is pretty much me at this point.
Red alert! All hands to battle stations!
As you go over to a bell that's mounted on the railing overlooking the main deck, and just with all your might ring it as fast as you can. Can you give me... Actually, no, this would be Gort. Do you give any instructions?
I would be shouting out for people to start firing the cannons.
Alright.
I mean, as soon as I notice that the whatever that thing at the front is.
It's just Rock's second ship.
Yeah.
I'd be shouting for us to start firing cannons.
Alright. Gort is going to turn in a random direction. Just hauling on the tiller in one way or the other. Because they are hauling ass straight at you. He's going that way, and the check. Oh boy. He is going to haul ass straight towards the left. Which is actually the correct way to go in this instance. As you're continuing forwards, the ship veers very violently to the port side, to the left, thus leaning over quite intensely. You guys are able to keep your balance, but and continue towards the main deck. Can everyone please roll initiative for me?
It's a trap!
Yeah. Let's see here.
Oh goodness.
Yes, it is a trap, weasels.
This is gonna be a good fight. Rock went last. This is how it should be.
That is technically how it goes.
Is exactly how it goes. As the ship comes closer, you actually would have one more turn before things actually start. So, Raku, are you going to be running basically full speed?
Yeah.
All right.
Well, I can take a dash as my action, then dash as a bonus action.
All right. So I'd say 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. I'd say you'd be able to make it within about maybe 4 of the squares within the hatch on deck 1.
Okay.
4 of the little squares.
Alright, let's see. So where would that put me?
That would put you on deck 1, within a 4 square
Okay.
radius of right about there.
Alright, that's good.
All right, where would you like to go? You still have a good bit of movement left.
Oh, me?
Yes, 20 feet left.
Okay, what side is the other ship on?
Off the left side, off the port.
Okay. So yeah,
Get right there.
somewhere.
Sorry. All right. Next up, Eric's. Actually, start the turn counter.
I will be shouting out orders to fire cannons while, making my way over to that side.
All right.
Or were there ballista where I was at?
Yes, actually, there is a ballista right there.
Because I was
they
trained in
cannons?
using the ballista.
There are ballistas on the top deck, but below decks in the there are cannons.
Oh, okay.
Yes, so is this the ballista?
That right there is, yes.
Okay, so yeah, I'd get on that.
All right.
I would be ready to throw a... how far out are they?
They're currently about 100 feet out.
Perfect. I'm going to use Wrath of Nature to make their ship come alive and attack them.
Post that spell for me, will you?
Might work that way. Up to you. It'd be a 60-foot cube centered on the point, which become animated until the spell ends.
I believe it only counts for living creatures, like trees and such.
You let me use it to get the boulder out of the ship.
That is true.
See what you've done, Dova?
I'd say it's not going to be doing damage, but it is going to be actively working against them and just sort of causing a bit of chaos.
That's really what I'm after. I kind of figured the grasses and undergrowth effect would just, or actually probably the roots and vines, something. You get it. Basically,
Yeah.
The point is chaos and make sure that they are disoriented and trying to stop them from actually attacking.
All right.
Hey, Dova, what's the weather like?
The weather like is currently foggy. There is a sort of a heavy, very slow breeze coming in from the west at the moment, pushing you along. You guys are lucky to have a tailwind at the moment.
And they've got a headwind?
No, they would be.
Oh, yeah.
coming-
Okay.
Ships can sail against the wind. In limited amounts, of course. And in very specific techniques.
They would need to have oars going.
No,
Not necessarily.
You can sail on a headwind.
Yeah.
It's with a specific sail pattern and specific...
Specific technique, kind of like a zigzag pattern. But it does work.
So
You
can I make it on
lost
deck?
intel.
Yes, you would be able to make it on deck. I'd say with your movement, you'll be able to make it right about there. You're on deck. but not able to kind of do anything. Or that is your movement. Sorry, I
Yeah,
getting
okay.
messed up.
I got what you mean. So, obviously assessing the situation. How high off the water level is the main deck?
The main deck is about 20 to 30 feet above the water line.
And what about their ship? Is it about the
About the same, give or take.
you should answer, Eric.
Yes, you did have a long rest since you awakened the gun.
Okay, just wanted to make sure I had that spell slot back.
Okay.
All right. Let's see. Let's think. I am going to cast Conjure Elemental.
Oh goodness.
I'm trying to decide between a water elemental that'll try to pull them into the water, or an air elemental that just tries to push over their ship.
I do the water personally.
Yeah, I feel like that would
There's a
have
lot
more
to pull
success.
from.
You know, just
yeah, I'll make a
slam
water
into the
elemental.
side of it and try and sink them that way.
I don't know if he'd
Alright.
be that. So yeah, water elemental. In this.
Sort of next to their ship.
Yeah, and I'm going to instruct it to do whatever it can to take out the crew on that opposing ship.
You see as some of the water almost solidifies around the base. As it gets kind of knocked out of the way of the ship, it latches onto the side with a blue pseudopod. All right. Infel.
Mm-hmm.
What do you do? As Eric's, you, with your sort of magical abilities, touch into the actual boards of the enemy vessel itself. You hear a very heavy creaking, in addition to a somewhat strange, sort of a garbled and deep screaming, as a noticeable portion of the front of the ship just deforms, almost bending inwards slightly.
Exactly what I was after.
Infel.
Mm-hmm. I suppose I'll spend my movements getting up to everyone else. Also, refinding the map, because I crashed for a moment.
Nice. Here, I'll share it
Oh,
with you.
there it is.
Got it? Sick.
Yep.
I should probably identify this, just so you can find it again.
That's handy.
Sorry about that. All right, you are at the top of the ladder. I'd say that would be your movement.
Okay.
Oh, hey, Dova.
Yeah?
We do got to roll initiative water element.
Yep, I did.
Oh, he's just not in the combat train.
There he is.
Ah, there he is. Hello, friend.
Friend water.
Water friend. Wet friend.
Wet friend.
Alright, so what's happening now?
Infel?
Dova, I have a question.
Yeah, what's up?
How heavy is my chainmail?
If you're thinking about swimming, it would be somewhat difficult. A full sort of complement of chainmail is somewhat heavy.
Yeah, 55
roughly,
pounds.
yeah,
Yes, but lizard folk are also very good swimmers.
it's true.
Also,
You
suggest
could
I would
probably
suggest
just
not.
power past that, but
I would
you
also
do
su-
so at a much lower speed.
It's just an option if I want to grab someone and jump overboard. Just keeping my options open.
Yeah.
I suppose I'll ready a javelin.
All right. for whenever they get close enough for you to throw.
Yes.
All right. Rock. Your turn.
How far away are they?
About 100 feet away, and at the speed they're going, they're probably going to close that distance very, very fast.
He's just bouncing happily on his heels as he goes off the edge. Eldritch Blast to the ship.
All right. Go ahead and roll to attack. Are you aiming for anything in specific?
Probably more towards the bottom to put holes in it so water can get into the hole.
Okay. Go ahead and roll to attack. 3 times, of course.
So look at that scale going down.
The first two seem to find a decent place to do damage on, but the second one seems to hit a structural beam, and so it really just shrugs it off. Go ahead and roll damage as I turn the light to my room on, as it is getting dark.
So he did manage to hit the broadside of a barn. With at least 2 of them.
Yep.
Have returned. As the bolts impact, a small amount of the hull is stripped away as you see a small amount of water going inwards. The hole's maybe, it's not too big, maybe the size of your fist.
I would say I moved up to here, like close to the edge.
Okay.
I'll nod to Infel and just smile and end my turn.
All right. It is the water elemental's turn, who is going to, upon seeing that a hole was opened up right next to it, it is going to, with a very loud slurping noise, basically wiggle its way into the actual hull of the ship.
Beautiful.
It's the ship's turn, I suppose. As you guys barely manage to hold on to your footing as the ship swerves hard to the left. The other ship tries to follow suit, though is hampered a good amount by the elasticity of its front half. With a tremendous slamming noise, as well as the crunch and grind of wood and metal slamming into each other and grinding and bouncing off of each other. The ship sort of rams into you, just glancing against the side. And as it does so, from the top deck, a few of the sailors from the opposite boat tumble downwards. Some of which were planned and some of which clearly weren't. As they sort of regain their composure and stand up and ready their weapons, you see that they're in terrible shape. I mean, they look to be as if they're covered in grime, dirt, and filth, but they still have this ferocity to them. This, when you look in their eyes, you see nothing but maybe insanity and bloodlust. As they all scream out, pointing towards the nearest being to it and basically charging at them. The initial count leads there to be 5 of them. That's enough. as it fires its harpoon gun at you. The boat, not you in particular. It doesn't hit any of you and instead slams into the sort of the front wall where the deck angles upwards again near C2. Attached to it is a rope. And upon that rope, more of them are beginning to cross onto your ship. Alright, it is the bandit's turn. Actually, no, it would be your ship's turn first. So basically, everyone that isn't you on the ship. You're going to fire the cannons. Unfortunately, only one of them is actually in the position to do anything right now, as you're not currently broadsided. But the one that hits, as you all are almost shook around a bit by a very large and intense shockwave. Something that you do not experience much. Rock, you're put to shame as a hole about the size of you appears in the other ship. You can see far off in the distance. Actually, no, you wouldn't see that. Never mind.
Did I throw my javelin yet?
Go ahead and roll that attack now, actually.
Oh,
Okay.
Brownrock is not having a good day. He's being one-upped.
He's being one-upped. There's a bandit right next to you. I mean, actually, the bandit's probably good, but...
This is the Coliseum all over.
Yeah.
Yeah. Flashbacks.
Let's see. Aw, man.
They're all fast.
Would that hit? That would not hit, unfortunately. As their sort of jerky movements lead one of the pirates to dodge out of the way as your javelin soars over it and embeds itself into the wooden deck behind. As far as you can tell, that water elemental is doing good, though, Kobold.
I can't believe they have
Sweet.
one more initiative than Raku.
I know, right?
Yeah, it's strange.
That is a crit fail. If we could get that crit deck, please.
Absolutely.
Fumble.
What kind?
Melee, slashing.
Cramp. You take a 1d4 penalty to your next 2 attacks.
All right. And that would be enough to save him. As you watch Raku, aiming with the ballista, 2 of the pirates are locked in combat with 2 of your own sailors and a kobold. The sailors are holding out well, and as you watch, the pirate, one of them, dislocates his elbow.
That seems more severe than.
And as you continue to watch, almost like transfixed, he very simply and unemotionally reaches back and slides it back into the place with a heavy clunk. The one near you, Rock, is going to try to attack. I really say try. Yep, both misses. This one up here is going down towards you, Infel, and is going to make 2 attacks against you.
Okay.
That is a 24 to hit.
That hits.
That is 10 points of damage.
Hmm.
As a scimitar barely makes it through a gap in your armor near your shoulder. Basically cutting down your bicep and being very, very painful and annoying when you're trying to swing a sword. The one near the top of the ship is going to engage in combat with some of the other kobolds. Oops, I made you smaller. We go. And does not do too well. He's never fought against kobolds, it seems. Raku, your turn. While you're on the ballista, you can take an action to fire. The other ship is within range.
Hello, Commander. In response to your request, we have sent backup. Good luck, Commander. We are forever in your debt.
Thank you, GCS Beast, for that subscription. I appreciate that so much.
Alright, well, now that I'm on the ballista and the water elemental's wrecking the ship and there's pirates around me, which was the bandit captain that I saw twist his ankle?
Twist his elbow, that was number 16 to your south.
16?
Yes.
And he was fighting kobolds, right?
He was fighting 2 sailors and a kobold.
Would I get pack tactics?
Yes, you would.
Alright. Well, time to take Charlotte for a spin.
Go ahead.
Howdy ho!
Thought you were using the ballista.
He was.
Yeah, but it's not necessary.
All right.
22.
You hear Charlotte grunt in exertion. That does hit. Go ahead and roll damage with sneak attack.
Yep. Alright, so let's try this one out.
Sneak attack with a very loud, very flamboyant
And
gun.
my first roll was already higher than possible with... Or wait, was it?
Would you
Yeah,
wait
it-
with the longbow? Or with the short bow?
No,
Is
it's a d6.
Oh, it is
Short
1d6 with the short bow. Longbow is 1d8.
Yeah, and where's my sneak attack? Here it is. Alright, and get wrecked. That was not great.
That's still good.
Oh well. Alright, and bonus action to reload.
All right. As you hear Charlotte say to you, "Oh, I think I put my all into that one."
Add a gun, girl.
Don't be silly. You were five. Don't be silly. You were five numbers away from.
What?
I said, don't be silly. You were 5 numbers away from max damage.
Anyways, Eric's your turn. Stop that.
Yeah.
You didn't kill him yet.
What?
As with a thunderous blast and a cloud of white smoke, the bandit captain, the pirate, kind of slumps over for a moment before very unnaturally just bending upwards with a cracking noise. Still engaged in combat with those 2 sailors and a kobold.
Eric's is going to be barking an order for somebody to cut the rope on the harpoon. We can worry about
Alright.
actually getting it out later, but right now we kind of need to detach.
Mhm.
Then he will run down to... Actually, no, he'll stay right where he is, because he doesn't need to run down to throw fire. Actually, fire is a very bad idea on a ship, so...
What are you talking about, man?
We're surrounded by water, it's fine.
I'm just
Yeah.
gonna let you know. I mean, it is wood, yes, but wood is a little safer than wood isn't dry hand. That's what I'm saying.
Yeah, wood like this
Wood-
would have been treated to at least have some fire resistance.
Or no, it would be soaked with water too and sealed.
Oh yeah.
Alright, well, firebolt it is. Do I have Gort up here with me for... No, wait, that wouldn't help me up here.
Emotional support.
Well, I was asking for pack tactics. Is anybody engaging with Bandit Captain 1 or 16?
Yeah, there's both of them are fighting 2 sailors and a kobold.
Okay,
Yep.
perfect. Looks like... God, this is a big map.
Yarp.
Hey, Dova just spoke kobold.
There.
Very good. That hits.
I would hope so. Actually, does this... Okay, no, that is right. Damage. Whoosh!
He is definitely very hurt now, as now he kind of stumbles forward, hit by a blast of magical energy in the back. You can actually see his ribs beneath the burnt flesh, but still, he continues to fight.
Jeez. I'll be yelling encouragement as well, aside from, yelling to get the rope on the harpoon cut, since that's on the
Okay.
opposite side of the ship from me. Or opposite end. But he'll be yelling encouragement to the crew.
All right, as a proper captain does.
Exactly.
Cobalt, your turn.
Alright, so first, I'm going to use my bonus action to toss the dancing scimitar in the air and speak the command word. Hold on. Dang it. What's that one word that's like, I'm trying to think of, like, play or performing terminology of starting.
Action.
Begin?
I guess begin would work. Yeah, let's say the command word is begin.
Alright.
And it's gonna attack Bandit. It does that automatically. And
Nope.
attacks one creature of your choice within 5 feet of it.
Yep. So you would basically toss it out. Which are you throwing it to?
Bandit Captain 15, right? It's infel.
Oh yeah, right there. Okay. Yeah, that would definitely get there.
Okay, so the sword uses your attack roll and ability score modifier. So would it be? Oh no, it has finesse. Okay, good. So that would be a +6. To attack.
Ooh.
Hey! That's great.
Alright.
Great start. Slashing damage.
You sure it wouldn't be magical?
That's slashing.
Oh. Forearm blow. Double damage.
Nice. Hold on. Sword.
Scimitar is a D6, I believe.
Okay. Ooh, oh wait, I need modifier. Add +2 to that, so 14
Alright,
damage.
so... Sorry? Oh yeah, 14, so doubled.
Yeah.
2,
Now apparently after it attacks for the 4th time, it returns.
Alright.
Okay. And then I'm gonna cast Blink on myself.
Alright. Go ahead and roll that D20.
Yes. I didn't do it, but it's fine.
As you sort of shimmer, you almost went into the ethereal plane, but then you realized, oh, we're moving pretty fast. We're moving, so you kind of like dip out for a moment and try to recalibrate it.
Yeah, I gotta pay attention to that. Don't want the boat sliding out from under.
Infel, your
Yep.
turn.
Well, he's right in front of me. The best thing to do would be attack, but I'm gonna move over just a little bit.
All right.
Right there.
Oh wait, is the scimitar like a plus anything, or is it just?
I don't believe it's plus anything.
Okay.
I believe it's just a dancing scimitar.
Well, I will be attacking Bandit Captain 15.
All right. Go ahead and roll to attack.
Okay. Aha. That's
Yeah, that
well,
hits.
girl.
That's another crit.
Yeah. I
With
mean,
a
to be
magic
fair,
weapon.
Nova constantly rolls crits against us without remorse.
Slow recovery.
Because it feels so good.
Oh.
Double damage, and the target must make a DC 12 Constitution saving throw. On a failed save, the target can make one less attack on their next turn.
Ooh.
They did not make it.
Ooh.
Remember to roll
Alright.
again to clear the crit.
Oh, right. Crit cleared, and this is going to be double damage. Come on.
Jeez.
For a +1 weapon, you also get to add that to your damage, just in case it wasn't already adding.
I think it does.
Yes, it is. Okay.
Oh well.
All right,
I
10
got a
damage.
double attack.
2, 15. 5, 14 plus 5, so... And that is also going to hit. Wait, do you get 2 attacks?
Yeah.
Okay. All right, as you lay into the bandit captain with, or sorry, the pirate with your moon touch scimitar.
Short sword.
Yes, short sword. The handle in your hand is a soothing, cool temperature, as it cleaves through the twitching and almost vibrating pirate before you. Very nice. Is that going to be your turn?
I suppose that will be. I don't have much else to do. Right.
Rock, it's your turn. Rock, you here? Your mic is muted.
I was muted for some reason.
There you go.
Is the harpoon near me?
The harpoon is about 45 feet. Actually, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6, 7, 8, 9, 10, 11. So 11 times 5, so 55 feet to your northeast.
Okay, so I can hit it with my axe then.
Yes, you can certainly try.
Okay, I'm gonna throw my axe and try to cut the rope.
All right, how much damage does your axe do?
1d8 plus 5.
1d8 plus 5s. The rope is going to have 10 HP.
10 HP left.
Yes, so go ahead and, I mean, it has 10 HP right now, so go ahead and roll to hit. It does crit objects.
Yep.
Fortunately, what's the AC of a fucking rope?
Likely 10.
This is why I'm here to question inanimate objects as ACs.
I have never.
As opposed to Raku, who's doing other things, with
This is fairly
making us
deep.
question a lot of things.
Go ahead and roll damage.
What I mean, at least in 3rd edition, the way it worked was that they had a hardness that would just reduce the damage by so much.
But it isn't really that he's up there and chopping at it, he's throwing an axe at it. So, you successfully cut the rope with your axe. As it's flies through the air, it almost goes through the rope like it was nothing, embedding into the wooden wall behind it. There's a brief cry of alarm and almost anger as the pirates currently on the rope are thrown into the drink. 5 of them are, at least. The remaining 2 were above the ship in such a way that they can clamber onto the side barely.
Damn it, I was gonna drink that later. Now it's got pirates in it.
Sorry, that was such a terrible joke. I'm angry.
I'm gonna recall my axe and I'm gonna attack Bandit Captain number 10.
Alright. 1 second to get these guys down.
Oh god, more pirates.
This guy's actually climbing up.
Wait till you're done.
Bandit 10, so there's a whirling motion as the axe pulls itself from the wood and returns to your hand, sort of arcing through the air with a faint blue magical trail. Go ahead and roll to attack. Very nice. Go ahead and roll damage. Wounded. Alright. As almost with the same motion, you return the axe to your hand and take another swing at the pirate in front of you. It actually lands deep into his side. You think it stops somewhere near his spine. And as you pull it out, you realize that he doesn't seem to have cared much. In fact, none of them really seem to care that they're being hit. You haven't seen any of them react in pain. There's no cries or yelps of anguish after being basically impaled by spears, slashed at by cutlasses of the other sailors, and other such violent acts.
Do they smell undead?
Give me a nature check. Actually, no, you would know exactly what undead smell like.
Mm-hmm.
They don't smell rotten, they just smell dirty as fuck. You could give me a medicine check instead. Maybe to take a guess? Because they don't seem dead.
I mean,
Medicine
Infel would
or-
have known if they were
Could I
undead.
do?
Yes,
Could I-
Infel would have known, but Rock is not Infel.
Doesn't know. Could I do perception to see if I can see them breathing or anything weird?
Sure.
Perception. Yeah, that seems about right.
You do not know.
They're dirty.
Oh, as far as you know, they are very stout opponents. Even disregarding their fairly clammy and almost malnourished appearance.
He's gonna growl.
As far as you can tell, they are alive, though, at the moment.
They don't go down, and he makes it growl.
Temporary state.
He
It is the water elemental's turn. What actions does he have? He has... It was Whelm. Interesting. Alright. Cobalt, due to your magical link, you sense that the elemental is causing havoc inside of the space. You hear the very faint sounds of various cries of alarm and a counterattack currently underway against the water elemental, though it is somewhat chaotic.
Sweet.
It is now their ship's turn. The ship is going to continue to try to bring its various harpoons and ballistas to bear. 2 of the ballistas and another harpoon gun is able to get on target. First one hits the ship. First one hits the ship. Second one hits exactly what they were aiming at. They were currently aiming for whatever looked to be the captain, which is the one wearing the very fancy, very large hat. What's your AC, Eric's?
19.
Okay.
Hey, Dova.
Oop, that's 4.
Hey, Dova.
Yeah, what's up?
I gotta step away for a second. If any of them attack me, just know that if it's above 15 but below 20, I'm gonna use.
You're
Other
gonna
than
use
that-
shield? Okay.
Yeah. Other than that, I don't really have any reaction.
I don't believe we're going to be going for much longer, anyways. After this turn is over, at least, since we do have a hard cap at like 14 minutes. So I don't believe that's going to be necessary. But Eric, you are hit for 26 points of piercing damage as a ballista bolt, about the size and width of your arm, lances forward out of one of their firing ports. You try to get out of the way, but unfortunately it hits you rather hard. Most of the force...
Wait, who's being attacked?
Eric's.
Oh, okay.
The bolt itself glances off your leg, but you think you heard something crack, and now your leg feels awfully sensitive. It hit somewhere in the shin, so the main leg bone isn't the issue, it's the shin. You feel that you could still fight on it, but you probably have to check up on it later. The bolt itself, ricocheting off of, or barely influenced by your leg, continues into the deck itself, disappearing somewhere within. The second one is going to embed itself into the mast, flying just over your head, Infel. You hear a very heavy whizzing sound as you turn around for a moment and instinctively duck. A very large arrow sinks into the mast just to your north. You can see... Oh. That would hit him. As it actually passes through Pirate 15.
Oof. Friendly fire. And again, they're zombies.
It's okay, +9.
However, this does change things a bit.
29.
If I'd known there were zombies from the start, I would have been smiting.
Yeah. I thought you said smitten, and I'm like, that's no way to be... There's no way to feel against zombies. Passes directly through him, leaving a fairly neat hole in its place.
Do I manage to keep a hold on the banister?
Yes, you do.
Okay.
As the ship continues to lurch around, the tiller currently at its fullest port position. However, the remainder of the cannons do come to bear. And one of them is 218. Ooh, that's pretty high.
We are
As-
ending their ship.
Yes, as 2 more cannonballs slam into the side of this ship, splintering the wood and leaving a good amount of open space where they exit in the back, you think, as you see a good amount of wood just fly up in the impact. And since it is 10 minutes until our hard cap, I'll say that's probably a good place to stop. It'll be the pirates' turn when we return. And yeah, I believe that's really all I have for this session.
All right. Well, thank you everybody for so much for joining us this evening. Thank you to the DM Dova for playing here and running this game. Lots of fun. You can see my schedule scrolling on the screen right now over there on the left. Do come back again to join us. Thank you so much, my patrons, Skyfox, Turlix, Rise Roth, Prism, Azai, and Roy and Shad. As well as my donators and subscribers listed there on the screen. Thank you all so much for joining me. I really appreciate the support here. And Rooms and Reptiles will continue with this battle next week, Tuesday at 5 p.m. Mountain, that is 7 p.m. Eastern. I will be back with something tomorrow. Fable 2. I will be back with more Fable 2 tomorrow. I do hope to see you all there. Otherwise, thanks for joining, and I bid you all adieu.
Bye, everybody.
Bye.
Bye-bye!
Farewell.